Welcome to the first episode of IcoPod. I am Bob Conley Jr., and alongside me is my co-host, Austin Skinner.
Hello.
And this was easily the most frustrating thing I've ever had to do in my entire life. Yeah. It took forever to get this properly going, about an hour and 24 minutes, but we are here, covering the World Wrestling Federation, starting with the first Raw of 1993. But first, we have to look at the WWF in 92. And Austin, what did you think of WWF 92, if you have any memories?
They're relatively sparse. I definitely did enjoy a lot of 92 from what I remember. Specifically, obviously, WrestleMania, Savage Flair, all that awesome stuff. But again, I mean, nothing jumps and screams out to me. Obviously, the Rumble in 92 was really good. And one of the highlights of the year, I think. But, yeah, as far as WWF, I mean, I think I more so remember some of the other companies at the time.
Which I would think is WCW.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so in 92, WWF had quite a bit of name power. You got your Hogan, Piper, Sid, Roberts, Jake Roberts, Ultimate Warrior, LOD, and British Bulldog. Now, I name all of those guys because at one point in time in 92, they all leave, which would then mean that the WWF had to go in a different direction. A lot of those guys are bigger guys, muscles, over-the-top characters, what have you. So by the summer of 92, the WWF has to focus on guys like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, smaller, arguably had a better agility than the other two, or the other guys mentioned there. And I wanted to point out some guys that maybe debuted in 92 leading into 93. And then if you have any comments on kind of what you know of them or anything like that.
Oh, boy.
And I'll, as I go along.
Oh, boy.
So one of the first guys to debut was Tatanka.
Ugh. Not a big Tatanka fan.
Tatanka was my boy. he was my go-to guy.
Right.
Around this time.
Right.
So you got Papa Shango.
Okay. You know what? I can respect that.
You're kidding me.
No. I can dig some Papa Shango. Match-wise, I mean, we're lacking a little bit.
Okay, so
I definitely give the edge to Tatanka in that case.
So you're going just strictly off
Strictly character and visual-wise, yeah, Papa Shango for sure.
Okay. Kona Crush, who was previously known as simply Crush and Demolition.
I'm split on Crush. I mean, he's a big guy. I know he can work. But that's never usually enough to get me invested. So, the jury's still out on Crush.
Okay, brother. Nails. Now, he doesn't really have much of anything to do with 93. But he was a pretty big character starting June of 92. Kind of got a big push. He is infamous, regardless of a 6-month reign or run there.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on Nails.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate you, Undertaker. Okay. Razor Ramon.
Who's that guy?
I don't know, Chico.
Obviously a big Razor fan. Who isn't?
Yeah.
Especially at this time, I feel like kind of where we're getting into, he's obviously still getting into the character. So it's kind of cool to see the progression continue with him. So yes, I'm looking forward to this time with Razor for sure.
I don't think he even hits his stride probably till like late 93.
Yeah, even into 94, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Head Shrinkers, Fatu and Samu.
Underrated, underrated. But again, just two big guys, I mean, at the end of the day. But definitely star potential.
Okay, and then how about Max Moon?
Absolutely not. I wish that robot stayed in the future and not in the current that we're looking at in this time period. Not a fan of Max Moon.
Lance Cassidy. Now, do you even know who Lance Cassidy is?
Not at all.
Okay, that would be Steve Armstrong of the legendary Armstrong family. He was there for maybe 4 months. I guess he apparently quit because he couldn't deal with travel and he wasn't doing anything in 92.
Needless to say, I didn't miss him.
Okay. How about Yokozuna?
Yes, looking forward to Yokozuna. Again, I think he gets kind of a bad rap for being just really, really big and no substance.
He was one of my first memories in pro wrestling.
Yeah, how could he not be? That dude, iconic, really, during the early 90s, I think.
Especially for the new generation,
right,
I'd say.
Right.
Then my father's favorite wrestler, Doink the Clown.
I knew I liked your dad for some reason. I'm a big...
Well, you're the only one.
Come on.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, yes, I enjoy Doink the Clown. As we get into it a little bit, especially for the first and second episodes of Raw, I'll have some comments on the commentary for Doink the Clown. But, peaks and valleys with him.
Do you know who doesn't like Doink the Clown?
Oh.
Dave Meltzer.
Well, you know what? He can get squirted with Doink's flour, for all I care.
I kind of agree with you. We'll get into that a little later. How about Damien Demento?
How about no?
Okay. I've watched a few of his house show matches in 92.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. Holy fucking Jesus Christ. Okay. I don't know if we should be cussing on this, but I just did.
Yeah, it's raw. It's
Ah,
uncensored.
It's uncut. Dig it. And then by the end of the year, Jerry Lawler makes his debut, but as a commentator, not as an in-ring performer. So what do you think of Jerry Lawler as a commentator?
Pretty ballsy choice at the time, but I think it's good to have a guy like that at the commentary booth at a time like this, because I think he really understood what they needed at the booth at this time. I mean, definitely a little brash, but again, it goes with the territory, I think.
I think I agree with that. Kind of a fresh way too. I mean,
right.
You had Heenan and Monsoon there for a while. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I figured we go back with some Wrestling Observer notes.
Okay.
As a lead-in to kind of where we're at going into 93. And if you hear shuffling of papers, that's because I printed out notes, so I apologize if that's distracting. But starting with January 4th, so I figured why not start with 93.
Yeah.
Paul Diamond, who originally played Max Moon, was fired. These are little tidbits. I'm not going to get in depth yet. And then the WWF lost their television in Germany, Austria, Netherlands, and Switzerland. According to Metzler, Doink the Clown will be working main events against Bret Hart starting in February, which blows Dave's mind. He can't believe that's happening.
Now, has he seen any of Doink yet?
Well, this would have been late 92 that he wrote it.
So no.
So he had seen the character on television, just not wrestling.
Right.
So he's probably
judging it off a
clown. Like
in the Big Josh of WCW would probably more or less not.
Well, I think Big Josh was okay as an in-ring guy.
Yeah, but as a main eventer.
No, right.
Probably not.
I think the main point of this is you're having a clown in the main event.
Right.
Of
with Bret Hart.
With Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Other headlining matches is Taker, Yoko, Money Incorporated, Nasty Boys, and Michaels Jannetty as your remaining top matches.
Okay.
Now, during this time, Bret Hart and Ric Flair are running the loop on the house shows, and apparently they're having incredible matches according to the reports. As you know, I have a shit ton of fan cam shows that I've watched.
Yes.
A lot of them, or not a lot of them, some of them have Bret Hart, Ric Flair 92. They are not amazing matches.
I bet.
I don't know who is giving him this information, but by comparison, Savage and Michaels are having house show matches, and they are disappointments, according to people who are reporting to Dave. It seems like as if Savage may have lost motivation, which I could see that as becoming a commentator probably isn't something he wanted to do.
Well, sure, he's probably disgruntled in the position. Although, from a fan perspective, I would definitely be more interested in seeing a Savage Michaels match on a house show than Flair and Bret.
Well, they had a pretty good match in like April '92 at like an England show. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why he's saying that. So fast forward to the 15th of January for his notes. These I think are written before Raw, which happens on the 11th. So that's why we're not in any danger here of spoiling anything. So according to Dave's sources, it looks like Lex Luger and Mr. Perfect are going to be a main event along with Bret and Yoko. That's according to his sources. Unless Hogan decides, I want to work Mania, brother. There were a few tryouts. There was Horace Boulder, Hulk's nephew, Bill Irwin, and Scott Putski. Of the three, Putski might get a job just because officials like him, not because he's necessarily any good. Terry Taylor appears to have retired, but that is not accurate, as he, I believe, appears on the second episode of Raw.
He sure does.
And a sign for WrestleMania at Caesar's Palace is promoting Jake Roberts, Bruce Beefcake, LOD Animal, and Ellering as being guys that appear on this show. Fun fact, only one of those men is on the show.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. And I'll let you guess. It's not anybody but Beefcake. Okay, so then on the January 20th Observer, Flair, he notes that the matches between Flair and Hart are ranging between 2.5 stars to a full 5 stars.
Wow.
They've been working either 20-minute matches or marathon matches, which were Ironman matches.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, watching an hour of those guys wrestling is a chore.
Right.
Have you ever enjoyed a Flair-Hart match?
No. Which is weird because, historically, those are two guys that you look forward to, usually with different people. But I feel like you're putting a square peg against a square peg. They're two kind of the same thing.
Well, I would think, Flair was the guy of the 80s.
Absolutely.
And then you have a guy like Bret, who is, I guess, the guy of the 90s.
Yeah.
So you'd think maybe they would be able to figure it out there. Also on the house shows, Yokozuna is going over big time. He has been beating Boss Man in about 4 minutes. And he's also working main events with The Undertaker, in which they also go 4 minutes, dominates the whole match, but then loses when he uses salt.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like he's in line for something big here. I wonder what could happen. The Steiner Brothers made their debut on the January 8th episode of Wrestling Challenge. They came over from WCW. I'll be honest with you, Steiner Brothers, I think, are going to be one of the more entertaining acts that we come across during this project. And as I mentioned before, Paul Diamond was fired, but apparently nobody knew that because he showed up at Raw to put over Shawn Michaels.
All right.
And everybody was like, what are you doing here? So I guess he's still with the company, and he'll be working various matches. Doink's first house show opponent will be Bob Backlund in February.
Oof.
Don't you dare disrespect Bob Backlund.
I'll leave it at that. Let's leave it at oof.
Okay. And then the final Observer notes here before we get into the show or anything. Razor Ramon reportedly blew out his knee prior to the debut episode of Raw.
Wow.
And it is heavily rumored that Tatanka will get a Intercontinental title run in the summer.
Okay.
What do you think? You really don't like Tatanka? Undefeated? Native American?
Yay!
Whoa. Hey.
I'm going to pass on that.
Okay. All right. So that's our lead in here for Raw. Did you ever watch Primetime Wrestling at all or no?
I have not. I've actually seen none of that.
Interesting. Because Primetime Wrestling is basically them just using various matches from all over the globe, I guess. Putting it in the show.
This is Gorilla and Bobby, right?
Yeah, and then there'd be like a panel. Like those two guys and like Mr. Perfect and Slick.
All right, so maybe I've seen a little bit of it.
You've probably seen clips of it.
Sure.
So Raw is the first time they've really ventured into anything live.
Okay.
Although very quickly it turned into a tape show as well.
Right.
So.
Right.
I guess before we really get into it, and I know you have a lot of things there too. Mm-hmm. What do you think of Raw going to the Manhattan Center for their first shows here?
To me, it seems as though Vince is trying to capitalize on the idea of a studio show, like a studio wrestling show. So a smaller crowd, more intimate, more maybe passionate fans going to New York. So I think that sense he made the right decision for Raw. But I can quickly see how he's going to want to move away from that in the future and kind of more or less move around the country. But I think to start out, it was the right move for the feel of it, especially. So yeah, I'm down with it, definitely.
Okay. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah.
I like the close atmosphere of it all. With the fans like right on it, especially the balcony part of it.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. Now, when this was going on, it was like 4. Not even. It was like 3.
Yeah.
So I never watched Raw live.
Yeah.
So, and I reviewed these years ago, like 8 to 10 years ago. So it was pretty, new to me again. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure my opinion has changed on it. Is this the first time you're watching them, or?
Yes and no. Some of them I definitely have seen moments before. Obviously, we all have.
Right.
But as far as like sitting down and watching through, I would say yes. a lot of this stuff I haven't seen, cohesively.
Okay. So Raw makes its debut on January 11th, 1993. Bobby Heenan is replaced on commentary by Rob Bartlett. What do you think of Rob Bartlett?
Let me tell you, I would say 3 out of the 7 pages of notes I have in my hand are on this guy. First of all, I have no idea who he is. No recollection of his name. I don't even remember seeing him in moments and highlights that the WWE puts out. So that kind of struck me as like, okay, who's this guy? I find him extremely annoying and more or less kind of self-aware and kind of putting himself over most of the time. I don't know, maybe that's kind of what other people draw, but yeah, I'm not a fan.
Okay, well, he was a comedian from New York.
Oof.
So I guess like Vince was trying to go with that route of something different. I mean, I would just rather have had Heenan on commentary and go from there. I mean, I don't really understand the point of it.
Absolutely.
But what do you got on your side there?
Well, just starting right off, we open a shot, Dark Streets of New York City. And that cool, kind of mysterious, dangerous imagery is immediately ruined by Shawn Mooney, who has none of those qualities whatsoever. So I thought that was kind of a funny clash. You have that, and then Shawn Mooney breaks in with his typical campness. Right. So it opens up. Him and Heenan are arguing outside the building. This is one of those moments where obviously I've seen, they play it all the time. So I didn't really have too many thoughts coming out of that, A lot of the Heenan stuff, especially this first episode, again, we've seen a million times. But yes, I thought that was interesting how they set it up nice. And then it's Shawn Mooney.
What is wrong with Shawn Mooney?
Man, that's not raw.
He's clean
Shawn
cut.
Mooney ain't raw.
He's raw.
He's
refined.
Uncut. He is refined.
He's uncensored.
So, but no, I've seen this before. I thought it was kind of a good way to open the show on the streets of New York City, kind of outside.
Right.
Leaves the mystique for after the opening video. So that was cool.
Yeah, because they don't go right to the arena or anything.
Right.
So
right.
it's, I guess, a different way of opening the show.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like the first match, right? Is what we got next year.
Yep. I have. So actually, before that, we get the trio of Savage,
of course,
Bartlett, and Vince.
Man, right.
According to Bartlett, Yokozuna wears a diaper thing.
I was gonna wonder if you were gonna notice that he says Yokozuna.
It pisses me off to no end.
And he continually says it.
Like that's his name. Yeah, that's his name, Yokozuna.
Yeah, like Vince is like, oh, here's Yokozuna, and like 20 seconds later, he's like, Yokozuna.
Yeah.
So he's just doing it to be a dick.
Okay. Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
Like he's being a comedian, like, here's Yokozuna.
Yeah.
Or
Right, like saying
like,
the name wrong.
Right, like if Doink came out, oh, here's Boink.
Right.
And
he does do it. He does do that.
Yeah, like that's what he does.
So that was pissing me off already with this guy. So I was already fed up. He's been on for the 30 seconds.
Right.
Done.
It's like it's over.
I'm done
tuning
with this
out.
guy. Yeah.
Right.
Savage was looking cool as always. I like that Vince quips after the diaper thing, like disgusting, but he says it and he's kind of laughing. So like I thought that was funny.
Kind of discredits it.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, just small things.
Do you think he would let that happen today?
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff with Yokozuna, especially on commentary, where it's like, I don't know if they'd get away with that.
Right, because I mean, I feel like he's always been heavy on like putting his guys over,
right?
And, like making them jokes if they're not. Like it's like Roman Reigns coming out and being like, "Yeah, this guy can't grow a beard."
Right?
Yeah, he's not a man,
Right, and this is the monster of your company, right? Now,
You're clearly
positioning
him as your top heel.
So I thought that was funny. Just a funny thing to point out. And then from there we go with. It just seemed as though during this time with the trio on, they were kind of still testing out shots of the crowd and stuff. It's a very experimental episode, I feel like, which is kind of cool. It definitely brings out the live atmosphere of it. But yeah, that's about all. I just wanted to point that out about the trio and how much I dislike Bartlett going into this.
I completely understand. I mean, I remember watching it years ago, and I'd be like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
Bartlett, I got to deal with it." But look, he's only there for a few months, so we don't have to deal with him too long.
Mm-hmm.
So the first match is the previously mentioned Yokozuna, and he wins a singles match over Koko Beware, who is a future WWE Hall of Famer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was it's an effective opener for me because two things. One, you're opening the show with clearly your top heel, who is going to be realistically probably in the main event scene, and he does it in a dominating fashion. So you're instantly making him a credible star. I mean, Koko gets a few moments in there, as to be expected, but I don't think there's any doubt in here. And I mean, he uses the bonsai drop too, so that's a pretty. I think for me as a kid, like, that was a pretty impressive finisher, I guess, because he's a huge guy just plowing down onto a guy's chest. You know, I wasn't really used to that before, so I thought it was. I mean, it worked for me. I thought it was. I don't know if there's a better way of going. I mean, maybe go with Bret. Maybe because you're live on the USA Network. You know, it's a fresh show. Be like, oh, here's our champion, and have him win a match there. But I get it why they did Yoko.
Well, I was even surprised Bret wasn't even on the show at all live.
Right. Yeah.
You know, they kept him off. As far as me for the match, I noticed immediately, like during the entrances, and this might just be a WWE Network thing because this is where I'm watching it. Right. But the crowd really, really sound piped in. Like there's a lot of like generic clapping and whistling for like all the entrances I noticed. So again, that might be just a network thing, but I thought that was funny that it seemed they're at a live audience with, you know, one of the best considered crowds in, you know, wrestling history, and it's piped in audio.
I wonder if that's an edit.
I'm not sure. It could be. It definitely could.
Because I mean, I don't know if I really paid attention to that, so I don't really know.
Yeah, it definitely could be.
That could be an edit, yeah.
But I thought I'd make note of that. I also want to make note of Savage calling Yokozuna the world's biggest egg roll when he comes out. Damn you, Savage. Put this guy over. He's the monster.
He's got a feud with him in a year.
Oh, hey.
Set in the stage.
Hey, you know. But yeah, you can tell Yoko's the star here, obviously. I really liked the geishas presenting Yoko with flowers to start the match. It's not something they stick with, so I just assume it was like budget cuts that ends up getting rid of them. But I did really like that. It's a subtle thing. Subtle things that I really liked. And then, actually, speaking of commentary, again, we go to Bartlett, and he quips, "That's one big-butted Oriental, Vince." And you don't use... That's like a rug term. You call it rug Oriental.
I know.
Not a person.
What the fuck?
But yeah, you know.
I'm glad you wrote that stuff down.
I did.
Because I totally block him out.
And you know what? And that's the thing. It's because, again, I don't know who this guy is. But he's already kind of overstepping his bounds. And like I said, 30 seconds in, I'm pissed off.
Well, he's like doing like a shock jock thing.
Yeah.
He's just trying to shock the audience, I think.
Right. And it's for me, like, it wasn't working. It was like...
It's not helping the product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Koko bumped all over for Yoko, made him look like a star, a believable force. So props to Koko for that. Yes, props to Koko.
You know, when Koko came out, the music, I thought it was going to be Owen for like a split second.
I know.
Just because it's like the same music, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're tagging at the time. So.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought for some reason my brain was just like, no. I was like, oh yeah, it's Koko.
I wish. I also really wanted to make note for some reason that specifically they call Yokozuna, they bill him at 505 pounds. And I personally am going to keep track that as we watch. I want to see...
As it inflates?
Yeah. I want to see how different it changes. And, you know, how different they announce him and, you know, how much bigger he might actually get.
All right, so how about this? For the first right here, what do you think is going to be the max weight? Because he goes all the way to 96.
Right.
So what do you think is the max weight that they bill him as?
I bet you they start billing him, maybe not as specific, over 600 pounds.
Right. Well, at the end.
Right. Yeah, by that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just thought that would be kind of a funny thing to keep track of, so I did. So here, as the first Raw, he's 505.
Right. So, okay. So, like, well, they won't announce his weight at Royal Rumble. Right. So, like, at Mania then.
Yeah.
When he comes out.
Yeah.
I'm going to say they'll announce him at, like, 530.
Right. Yeah. That's. You know? I feel like that's a safe bet.
I mean, I think a few times they've been like Fuji would be like, I've been feeding him nothing but rice.
Right.
for weeks.
Yeah.
He's going to be 550 pounds by WrestleMania. Like I vaguely remember
Yeah.
at some point, like a
Well,
promo.
because like Finkel will say 500 plus pounds or whatever, but Vince specifically says on commentary 505. So we're going with that.
I wonder if that's like to tell fans like, oh my God, he's over 500 pounds.
Right. Probably.
That's what it has to be.
Yeah. So I thought I'd figure I'd make note of that. But yeah, I mean, for the first match, nothing much to see here. It was a squash match. Again, props to Coco for bumping all over and making Yokozuna look good.
I mean, it makes me kind of miss those type of matches.
I do too, yeah. I mean, we get him with Strowman a little bit.
I was
but
gonna say,
not
like,
quite to the quality, I would say.
I mean, obviously we talk about the future here, so we're not strictly being like, oh, I don't know what happens
right.
next year or whatever tomorrow. But like Nia Jax just this past Monday, like that was a squash match.
Yeah.
You know, like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I enjoy that stuff. So we go from Yokozuna killing Coco Beware to a pre-tape with Bobby Heenan, in which he promotes the narcissist Lex Luger. Well, we don't know it's Lex Luger, but the narcissist, which would end up being Lex Luger as we get to the Royal Rumble. Basically saying that he's perfect. He's the only one that can be perfect. Really driving home that this feud is going to be with Mr. Perfect since Mr. Perfect ditched him in '92.
Right.
What do you think about the narcissist coming to the Royal Rumble?
I'm going to do a cardinal sin right here. I'm going to knock Bobby Heenan.
Oh, no.
I don't know, maybe it's just me noticing this, but he keeps like pronouncing it Narcissus.
Yes. Yeah, you're right.
And I couldn't get past that.
Yeah, like he doesn't say the T.
No, it's like Narcissus.
Yeah, yeah. You're
It's
right.
like, what is that? What is he saying? It's Narcissus.
And he says it so often that
Yeah.
you're like, I'm really noticing him saying it incorrectly. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was bummed out about that a little bit.
Yeah, you're right.
But I think it's funny how he's explaining, he's perfect in every way, especially knowing the narcissist ring talent. I found the irony in Bobby Heenan's promo here.
I wonder if that's kind of part of it, though.
It's got to be.
Because I think the angle that I would be interpreting is like perfect. He's making it very strongly on physique.
Yes.
And how he looks. So he's like the perfect body.
Right.
Not necessarily the perfect athlete.
Right.
But his body and stuff like that would make him just better than perfect by itself. So
Which might be Perfect's only flaw. Like his physique wasn't
that's true.
great. You know what I mean? So maybe
he was never out of shape.
No.
But he was certainly not a muscle guy.
Right. He was never ripped.
Right.
But yeah, I thought that was funny. Just going back a little bit, we also got a flash of the trio back at the announce table. I'm going to go back to this.
I think we're noticing that I'm trying to avoid Bartlett, and you're going right back
I
to
refuse.
that.
Yeah, I refuse.
So anybody who's listening to this and is like, we fucking hate Bartlett, I'm right there with you, but Austin wants to keep on going.
Yes. They hype up the Royal Rumble. We even got like a little package. And I found it funny watching this because at first I couldn't recall who won the Royal Rumble in that year, 93.
Okay.
Like I had a hard time. I had to really think of it, which I thought was funny because most of the years you're like, boom,
I would say to a certain point.
Yeah, to a certain point.
Then there's years where it's just like it blends together.
Right. So this 93, I feel like was a year for me that maybe wasn't as memorable, and then I remembered why, because I remembered who won it, and the whole thing with that. Also, with the shot of the announce table, we got to more of a peek of the crowd behind them, and it was kind of like disheartening because you can only see maybe 6 rows, and then it's nothing.
Right.
So it kind of, again, the whole point of it, they're in a small arena. It's supposed to be more of a lively crowd. But at the same time, you see that, and it's like, there's 300 people here.
Well, it's more than 300.
Well, that's what it comes off as.
I mean, have you ever watched Memphis ones?
No.
USWA? Like, there's like 40.
Right.
Or like Mid-South TV. When
Right.
it first started, it's like, oh, here's 100 people.
Yeah.
And call it a day.
Yeah. I guess maybe remembering it before watching it, it seemed like more people. But that was a good... I wish they kind of would have hid that a little bit more. Like, you didn't just see 3 rows behind them and there's no people.
Kind of makes them look minor league, I think.
Yeah.
Compared.
Yeah, especially for their first show.
Well, and it's kind of weird because like Raw is supposed to be their like next big project.
Yeah, the flagship.
Yeah, and then you have like Superstars and Wrestling Challenge in like 6,000 seat arenas.
Exactly.
But I think at that point the money was more so in syndication though.
Right.
Because a lot of their major angles and stuff happened there.
Yeah.
At the time. So.
Right.
I guess
But
it
yeah,
kinda
I
makes
just
sense.
wanted to make note of that too.
All right. Well, we get more Bobby Heenan as he is really trying to get into the arena, and Mooney won't let him in. So he decides, I'm going to dress up in drag, and it fails. What do you think of Heenan trying to go in drag?
Bartlett's aunt, to be specific, there, pal.
Oh yeah, that's right. He tried to make it like he's Bret Bartlett's aunt. Yeah.
Bobby Heenan makes a great woman, especially a disgruntled woman. He played that perfectly. I was thinking here, though, I wish for these outside shots, they would have had like a rabid crowd still trying to get in the arena and buy tickets and stuff, to where it wasn't just Heenan, Mooney, and a security guy. You know what I mean? It just felt like less important that way. To whereas if you're still pushing like, this is the must-see show, and these people have to get in here, they'll do anything to get in here, I would have hired 100 extras to be outside, like, pounding on the doors trying to get in. This is the streets of New York City.
Right.
You know.
So
I was a little bummed.
That's a fair point, because like New York City, there's always a lot of people around, and you go on the street, and there's like 2 people.
Yeah. It just didn't seem natural to me.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
But with that said, typical Heenan here. Again, it's just a little awkward. Like, I wish there would have been more energy. I mean, I get it. It's about Heenan, But yeah,
it's just like comedy filler to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, filler. But it just doesn't
filler.
add to the show or anything.
Yeah.
From there, we go back into the arena, and Vince McMahon is in the ring, and he brings out Razor Ramon, who is the #1 contender for the WWF World Championship. And the way that he got the #1 contendership is simply by attacking Owen Hart on, I believe it was the debut episode of Mania, WWF Mania, is when he hit him with like a trash can, stuff like that. So that's like the main backstory, the premise is, that's how he wants to get the belt. But in this promo, he talked about that it's going to take him 8.5 months to win the title, compared to Bret Hart taking him 8.5 years to win the title. Now, this promo to me was extremely basic. There's no depth from this story for this angle. It's like a last-minute idea. Mm-hmm. I would have thought they would go with this Bret Flair at the Rumble.
Right.
Bret beat him. That match, the title change that happened in '92 with Bret and Flair, was never televised. It's just on a Coliseum video special.
Wow.
And it doesn't. I think that got released in like June.
Oh.
So like the context is like way
off.
Taken off. Yeah. And one of the things I noticed with Razor Ramon was he has something stuck between his teeth. Like as if he had just ate something, and there's like something like black or something like right between his teeth.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah. I thought maybe you would notice that.
No.
Yeah, and I just thought it was ironic because the guy's got a fucking toothpick. He always has a toothpick. And like you would think at some point in time he'd be like, yeah, get it out. Yeah. Nope.
Wow. Nobody told him either.
Right. So they zoom right into it, and like that's when I noticed it. I was
We're
like,
live, pal.
Yeah. Shoot.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was just like, really.
I didn't even notice. Yeah.
I don't know if anybody else noticed that, but it was definitely like right between his teeth. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Oh my god.
But I kind of like the idea of Razor getting a title shot. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of momentum going from the Savage feud in the end of '92. There's just not a proper build.
Right.
They didn't have any interaction in '92 really. So I think in the grand scheme of things, it's just a really weak title defense in the sense of a storyline. Mm-hmm. So what do you think of Ramon going for the title in this segment?
So Razor comes out wearing the worst shirt of all time. Notice that right off the bat.
He's from Miami.
Well, nothing dates a video more than a checkered shirt with colored shapes and oh god.
You're right. I mean,
yeah,
it is a pretty bad shirt.
With that said, for first time viewers, I feel like too with the whole Cuban accent thing, I feel like you're seeing right through that. You know that it's phony. So I was kind of bummed out, especially knowing the talent that Scott Hall does have and how committed he was to the character. I was a little bummed out to kind of see maybe he hadn't perfected it totally yet, or I don't know. I just felt like it was like if I'm first tuning in to the show and this is the guy that's on, it's like, oh, he's faking that accent.
Yeah, you know what? And I don't really think he. I feel like for a few weeks here, I'm going to be comparing it to like '92, but he's not a superstar
Right.
type of character
Right.
or look. You know, because this time last year, you have Hogan and Sid and Flair and Savage, really, Taker.
Right.
You know, and half those guys, if not more of them, are gone.
Right.
And it's not like Ramon had been on television, like you even said, for that long of time. So it's not, he hadn't really gained that credibility. So coming out the way he did, I think, as a casual fan, I think tuning into, you'd be like, who the fuck's this guy with this horrible shirt?
Right. Yeah, and phony accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's, yeah, you're right. Like
You know?
faking that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is weird, though, because, I mean, he would, I guess, kind of fake that his entire career.
Yeah, it kind of blended into who Scott Hall is.
Yeah. Like, I think he forgot.
Yeah.
like
he
that's
is
not how we
Razor
talk.
Ramon.
Yeah. I've always talked like this, Chico.
Yeah.
You know, like, no, he didn't.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I wanted to point it out. But yeah, I think it's an interesting point that Razor makes that, you know, Bret needed 8.5 years to climb to the top of the WWF when he only needed 8 months. I think that shows, and I think it's kind of indicative of the time period. I mean, let's strap a rocket to somebody who's hot, maybe even when they're not ready, and either it's going to go well or they're going to fizzle away. And I think Ramon maybe was next in line for that. Like, let's see what we can do with him. And if it fizzles away, you know, we tried.
Well, you know, I think going into '93, I mean, they didn't really have that many heels
Right.
to even challenge Bret.
Right.
I mean, really, it's, I would assume, really just Flair
Yeah.
for Bret.
Right.
So that's why I think it was really crucial, or would have been crucial, for them just to do a rematch at Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give time for, like, a Ramon to get that build. I mean, I'm literally trying to think off the top of my head right now of who could have realistically, or who, like, even right now, you know, you're thinking, wow, this guy can be a challenger for Bret. And I can't really think of one.
Yeah.
I mean, even Yoko's, he's only been there for 2 months.
Right. And his build is still burning kind of thing. Like, they're still trying to get him there.
Right. I mean, Shawn Michaels, sure, but he just lost to him at Survivor Series.
I would even say not for Shawn. I would argue not Shawn still.
You think he's still a peg below?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
You know.
I mean, they had a really good match at Survivor Series.
Right.
But I don't think him as champion in 90, like Shawn Michaels, if he would have won the belt in 93,
Yeah.
that would have failed horribly. Like, no
Too
way.
soon.
Yeah.
Right.
He's perfect. I think Shawn's perfect where he's at, but we'll get
Exactly.
that in a little bit.
Exactly. I also found it funny how calculated the clothesline was, that they flash back to when Razor attacks Owen.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you see Ramon's arm in the shot.
Yeah.
And he kind of, like, lines it up.
Right.
And then just clobbers Owen. So I
Yeah.
thought that was hilarious, that it's like a calculated clothesline.
Yeah.
While Owen's sitting in a chair.
Right.
You know what I mean? I
And
thought that was great.
It's as if Ramon got a running head start, like
Yeah.
a mile away.
Yeah, like off camera.
Yeah, and Owen's just like, what are you doing? Oh, my God. And then
And get clothesline.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
how did I miss that?
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
And then just the way Razor says, like, cockroach, he goes, cockroach.
Yeah.
I loved that. Still the phony accent, though. But I thought it was, for what it was, I mean, it paints Razor as the bad guy, and then he doesn't really care about Bret's, like, lineage or whatever. Like, he's in here to do what he's got to do.
I think I just wish that there was, like, an attack on Bret.
Right.
You know, because he's
Right. Why
attacking.
attack Owen? Like, it doesn't make sense.
And, yeah, like, what do you... It's like an indirect.
Right.
Like, I'm not feuding with you.
Right.
I'm feuding with your family, but that affects you, so then you're going to come at me.
Yeah, so you're going to fight me.
That's like
either
me,
way kind of thing.
like, punching your dad in the face.
Be like,
And
what
they-
are you going to do about it?
Right. And like,
Yeah.
you want to fight.
Right.
But if I, like, punch you in the face in front of your family or something, you know, it'd be
You're going to be a
different.
little bit more upset.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I did that in front of your
Directly.
family. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, like, if they had Stu there. and
Right.
You just, like, attacked him in front of Stu.
Right.
And he's like, Stu can't do nothing. So he
Right.
taunts Stu.
Right.
It's like, Bret's like, what the
Well,
fuck?
Bret's there. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought for what it was, I think he tried to make the best of it. I also like that Vince keeps getting cut off, and then he finishes it with the toothpick to Vince's face. You know,
Right.
the classic Razor. But yeah, not too much going into this. You know, for what it was decent.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was just really basic for me. Not much depth. From there, I believe we go to Shawn Michaels. title defense. Or no? Oh,
We skipped one.
I skipped a match.
But that's all right.
How did I skip a match?
I don't know. I wasn't going to cut you off.
I apparently did. Well, I apparently missed, in my notes here, the Steiner Brothers made their Raw debut. Like I said, they made their debut on Wrestling Challenge. I can't believe I skipped over that. That's like the most enjoyable squash match on the show.
I wasn't going to tell Scott Steiner you skipped his match on the debut.
So don't tweet him that.
But like,
because he might Steiner screwdriver me or something.
You better play your cards right.
I can't believe I did that. Maybe I just really wanted to get to Max Moon.
So in this case, yeah, let's go back to the Steiners.
Right.
Yeah.
They, I think, easily become the most interesting tag team. Because let's see. So Money Incorporated is the tag team champions.
Right.
Your challengers for that are realistically the Head Shrinkers. Well, they're a heel, so not really. They're not going to chase after.
Right.
So it's mostly the Natural Disasters, the Nasty Boys. I guess High Energy.
It's a team.
I guess.
Yeah, it's a team.
I feel like I'm missing the major team. I mean, LOD had left, so they're not in the mix there.
Right.
But for sure, I mean, like the Nasty Boys were feuding with Money Incorporated. So I mean, that's the go-to team here.
Right.
I would prefer the Steiner Brothers over the Nasty Boys.
Yeah.
I mean, just looks alone. If I'm tuning into Raw and I'm seeing this jacked up Scott Steiner just tossing mask guys around, and Rick Steiner doing a bulldog off the top rope and just driving their face in the mat, I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, the Nasty Boys are like, I'm gonna put my armpit in your face.
Right.
Two different forms of entertainment there, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I remember, relatively back then, just being like, I want to see Steiner Brothers Money Incorporated. And there's actually a match between those guys later on in '93 that I've really enjoyed. So I look forward to seeing that and talking about that. But I've always enjoyed them. I think they hit a time there when they clearly fall off. But I would say, like, this is prime Steiner Brothers.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
So I think this is a great addition for WWF, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it was like a 3-minute match or whatever, but they hit their spots. They were made out to look like stars to me, even though I totally didn't write it down in my notes.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Because I did.
There you go. That's why you're here.
Yeah, for the notes.
Yeah.
I'm the notes guy. But yes, pumped to see the Steiners. I think their run in this time in WWF, even compared to like their WCW stuff, I would say is some of the most fun, I think, of when they're still tagging together. I mean, obviously their WCW stuff is going to be match quality wise probably much better.
Yeah, they had better talent probably to work with.
Right. But as far as just energy and impact, this Steiner Brothers I really enjoy. Lame music. Terrible music.
I like the music.
Oh, terrible music.
Dun, 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 dun. Maybe I'll insert that at the
music.
end.
Oh, God. Then nobody will listen.
No, they will listen because it'll be at the end.
Oh, maybe if we
Like
get
we're already 43 minutes in, so
they've probably tuned out by now.
they probably right now are like, fuck that. I'm not doing
Steiner Brother music. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
I'll think about it. Maybe I'll do it.
The Executioners look like complete J-Brones.
Do you know who the Executioners are?
No idea.
Dwayne Gill and Barry Hardy.
So yeah, J-Brones.
Dwayne Gill? That's Gilbert.
Yeah.
He's a legend.
Anyway.
He's a light heavyweight champion.
J-Brones.
Spoiler alert, by the way. That's like 5 years from now, but
You're skipping ahead.
yeah.
J-Brones.
Gilbert.
Right
Okay,
now. No.
go ahead. Sorry.
Especially during this match, I feel like the crowd was kind of not into it.
Really?
Yeah.
No.
To start off.
They popped.
Well, because then Doink starts coming through the crowd during the match.
Right.
So he kind of makes an appearance. And then it gets to be where they're just kind of obviously paying attention to him. Because he comes up to the railing, and I loved it. Savage sees him. He goes, I don't like him. About the clown.
My God.
Savage doesn't like clowns.
I'm really surprised that you don't think the Steiner Brothers... From what I remember, like the crowd was reacting to them.
Well, I think they were more or less... I think the Executioners were really putting a damper on things. Because in the ring, man, they looked so awkward and So compared to the Steiners, the Steiners are just in there having fun, beating the hell out of them.
Right.
So I feel like maybe if they would have had something a little bit more to work with, it would have been a little bit better. I don't think they needed a squash match per se. I don't know. It just seemed like the crowd was kind of more interested in what was going on in the crowd and with Doink and that kind of thing. Maybe that was the point.
I kind of, just thinking about this, like the way that they're setting this up. So they have Yoko and Razor really as the main two guys, the two heels. Mm-hmm. And then you have your number one face tag team.
Yeah.
These guys are relatively young.
Right.
I feel like it had to be like on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the whole show really has a young feel to it.
Absolutely.
In terms of talent.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is funny because when you get to episode 2...
drastically different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely it is. But yeah, I don't know. I think the crowd was pumped to see these two J-Browns get their ass beat, which the Steiners definitely delivered on.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was pretty ironic that down one of the executioner's pant leg it said pain, because I'm sure that's what they were going through at the time. Fucking pain. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was. Good to see the Steiners anytime, so I was down for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to watch their stuff throughout '93. So I think it'll be really good. I don't trust my notes anymore, so I don't know what we have going from there. I mean, who knows what I missed?
So we go from the Ramon promo to real quick. We get a Tatanka hype up for Headlock on Hunger, and he's fucking soaking wet. This dude is fresh out of the shower, dripping.
I wonder if they were like, "Hey, yo, Chris." Chris Chavez is his name. They go, "Hey, we need you to go do a promo. I'm going home,
throw your
bro.
shit out."
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. Literally maybe 10 seconds. That's all they gave him.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Soaking wet.
They're really
dripping.
They're really pushing that Headlock on Hunger thing.
Yes.
Though.
Yeah.
I've noticed that.
But yeah, that was another small thing. But then it gets into our next matchup.
Oh, so this is where Shawn Michaels defends the Intercontinental Championship against Max Moon. How Max Moon possibly became the number one contender to even warrant this match, I will never know. They got quite a bit of time. I think it was like 8 minutes. To me, I was pretty bored by it, to be honest with you. I mean, it's back and forth, but I don't think anybody would really buy into Max Moon as potentially beating Shawn, especially considering Shawn's feuding with Jannetty, with Sherry Martel, that whole angle there. So it was, I wouldn't even say it was okay. It was pretty bland. I thought it was pretty interesting that Michaels used the super kick as a setup move, really, for his teardrop suplex, which was like a side suplex for his finisher. I mean, even watching it when he used the super kick, that should have been it. Mm-hmm. Like the crowd was like, "Oh yeah," and he's like, "Whoa, why is he picking him up?" And he does that. And it's like, really, dude? Like,
right.
I think that's like I noticed that at least.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this was just borderline an exhibition, really, for Shawn.
Absolutely.
I feel like to showcase what he's got going on for himself.
So yes, I started off with Max Moon's entrance. We get him basically shooting shit from his wrists.
Right.
Between, confetti and fire and all that. See, and this is the problem I have. Oh.
New Japan.
No.
I'm keeping it in there, too. I'm not going to edit it out. That was probably Naito, right?
Yes. My good buddy.
I knew it.
Los Ingobernables.
I knew it.
But no, so back to Max Moon. He's shooting shit out of his wrist. One of them malfunctions and the fire almost goes into the crowd. But I feel like this kind of stuff is what gives early 90s a bad rap. Max Moon. Stuff like this. Over the top, kind of unnecessary silliness.
Well, that's exactly what 92 was in wrestling for them.
Right.
Just over the top nonsense.
Right.
And that probably happens through 96. So we got a few years of just
that's fair.
Absolute nonsense.
Right. Moon finishes his entrance by rolling around. Horrible. I was not looking forward to this. And I have seen this match previously, so this is another one of those things where I've seen.
Okay.
So I kind of knew what to expect going into it. At least Shawn's in it. He's still a good worker at this time. Not all screwed up yet.
I feel like he still hasn't met his stride yet.
No, he's getting there.
Yeah.
He's getting there.
So I remember watching his 92 stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right after he turned on Marty.
Right.
He was just not comfortable yet. He's definitely getting there.
Right.
But he's not. I think once after the Rumble, I don't want to go too far ahead, I guess,
right.
But there's definitely, I think, a moment when
he gets over the hump.
Yeah.
But yes, looking into this, I also found it very interesting and that I made note of. This was the first mid-match commercial break. There you go, setting the precedence right there.
That drives me nuts.
And you know what? There's so many other opportunities to take a commercial break. You know, so I was kind of bummed to see that. Man, I can't believe it stems all the way back to episode 1.
Right. So you know what? That's funny you mentioned that because they go 8 minutes. Realistically, I mean, I don't know how quickly they went to commercial in there, but if you cut it in half,
right,
you could probably even get another match in there.
Right.
Maybe put somebody else over. A fresh face or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I've always hated the ad breaks.
Yeah.
Especially when it's a tape show.
Right.
Because they cut substantial stuff. And even present day, it drives me nuts when they, during the break, the high spot happens.
Right.
It's what the hell? Why am I seeing it on a replay?
Right. And we come back and they're in a headlock again.
Yeah. It's here's what you missed during the break. Oh, yeah, this guy did a triple jump 450 to the floor, and now he's doing a front face lock.
Right.
Why isn't that going on during the commercial?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I was a little bummed out about that. I mean, I expected it. I knew it was coming sooner or later. Also, it's very funny that the 3 on commentary keep getting the tagline kind of screwed up ordered.
Right.
Nobody knows how it goes.
Yeah.
And Vince has to keep correcting them.
Yeah.
So that was funny. And it's always triggered by Vince. As soon as Vince says the first word, the other 2 kind of know to piggyback and say the rest of it.
Yeah.
But they always screw it up.
Right.
And it's
I do remember hearing that. Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
I wonder how quickly they dropped that.
It has to be only in the couple first episodes.
I would have to think.
Yeah.
Uncut.
Yeah. Doink's at ringside again. And I also found it interesting that our good old buddy Bartlett is mocking Mike Tyson on commentary.
Mm-hmm.
About the penitentiary and all this stuff, which is funny because obviously Tyson would prove to be an integral part in the company in a few years. But yeah, it's blatant mockery.
Yeah.
And it goes on for almost the majority of the match.
I mean, that's just a classic comedian. A comedian move.
Yeah.
I guess he was really popular at the time in New York.
Put it this way, I wish Tyson was at the Manhattan Center that night so he could have beat the shit out of Rob Bartlett. Because fuck him.
I don't like him. I think it's funny you put so much down on him. I really don't. I do not like Bartlett.
But the match was good. It was worked at a pretty good pace. I would say, Michaels hitting the Savat kick, as Vince calls it.
Right.
Definitely should have ended the match. Because when you pick the guy up and do a side suplex and pin him, it's kind of
Yeah, because just even if it was a shoot match, if we were to shoot right now, fight,
right,
and I kick you on your chin,
mm-hmm.
you might be out,
right.
But if I were to pick you up and then drop you on your back, you're going to be hurt, but you're probably going to be I got my shoulder.
I'm not knocked out.
Right.
Yeah. And you know what too? Shawn's supposed to be the showboaty guy. How is his finisher not the kick and a side suplex? That's not showboaty. That's a standard move.
I mean, doesn't he even taunt after he does the kick?
He does.
And then he does the suplex?
Yeah. So you can tell there's definitely some room there where they're kind of still testing stuff out with him. But yeah, I wanted to make note of that. But yeah, the match probably went on too long. They probably could have got it done, like you said, in 4 minutes. But yeah.
I mean, Maximum doesn't even last that long.
Right.
To even really warrant much time.
Right.
I'm assuming from there we go to the Royal Rumble report. I just put down Royal Rumble report.
Yes, I have notes on it.
Go ahead.
Right before that, though, we get a commercial for WWF Mania, which I've never seen any of. But the commercial made me want to see the show, which was good because I feel like most commercials is kind of like whatever. Like it was, I don't know, it was a cheesy '90s commercial, but I was
you know what? Okay, I know what you're talking about. Like the guy's like sleeping or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the family wakes up on a Saturday morning,
right?
And just like kind of the flashes of superstars it showed.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay, that's probably a good show.
I think that was the show that I was watching as a kid. Like I always thought it was Livewire,
right?
But Livewire was later on. I think
that
was like '95. I think that came around. So I think it was definitely Mania and how I kept up with it,
right?
Because I never ever watched Raw.
Mm-hmm.
So even dating, so probably like 94, 95, I was watching, I'd catch Mania, and then 95, 96 or whatever, I'd watch Livewire.
Right.
And keep up with that. But yeah.
Right.
So I definitely watched Mania. Then.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool. Like, oh, that's actually hyping me up for a show that I'd probably want to see.
Right.
Which I haven't. But yes, that gets us into our Royal Rumble report. Gene kind of goes through what's going to be happening at the Rumble. Michaels takes on Marty Jannetty with Sherry at ringside. I've never seen this match. I was very interested to see this match. Michaels gets a promo, pretty basic. Makes it more about Sherry than the IC title, which I don't get. I mean, I guess, she's an integral part, but at the same time, it's for the championship. Like, make it about the championship.
Yeah, a lot of the focus is, like, what corner will she be in?
Exactly.
And it's not...
Exactly.
I mean, I think Jannetty touches upon, like, getting the title.
Yes.
But then he's also like, you don't know Sherry as well as you do.
Right. Which I had noted. I mean, Jannetty up next, starting with the classic January 24th, the Royal Rumble. I'm going to call it Marty Jannetty Day. His line, he drops it in there, Marty Jannetty Day. I was like, I don't think any day is Marty Jannetty Day.
Do you not like Marty Jannetty?
At this time, I did. Definitely.
I was going to say, because I feel like
93, I did.
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, there's a stretch there when he's not on television for various things.
Right.
But I would say Jannetty was still pretty solid.
Yeah.
For a few years into the Raw era before he just completely crashed down.
Right. Like, I give him definitely the promo edge here over Shawn, for sure.
Even with the Marty Jannetty Day thing?
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. He's more making it about the match, which is what I like.
He's putting over the title, yeah.
Yeah.
More so than what Shawn was.
Yeah. He does end it with, maybe you don't know Sherry as well as you think you do, which I think is a good lead in.
That's a tease.
Think, that's... Who knows what could happen?
That could be an angle of like, I need to tune in
to
see where Sherry goes. Like, oh my God, does this mean that Sherry's gonna be with Jannetty?
Right.
Yeah. So I could see that as a selling point.
Right. I also noted too, it'd be interesting to see like Sherry screw over Shawn at the Rumble, or and see like a face Shawn Michaels versus a heel Marty Jannetty in '93. I would have been interested to see how that would have played out.
I think it's too early to turn Michaels back to face.
Yeah, I guess more or less, I feel like maybe Jannetty would have been easily hateable at this time against a guy like Shawn with a terrible lady with like Sherry if she got into it a little bit.
I don't know, man. Like, I'm trying to think of the context. I mean, I don't know if I could hate Jannetty because, I mean, Shawn threw him through a barbershop window, and then Jannetty was gone for like a year.
Yeah, but maybe like he uses that as resentment, and the crowd's like, oh, like we get it. That was huge. Like, that was terrible. But, like, you're taking it too far now. Don't stoop to Shawn's level. We thought you were better than that. So, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was interesting.
It would have been, I guess, I mean, I would have to obviously see it play out. But just, like, mentally trying to picture it, I think Shawn's hateable enough here where it's, like, no matter what you try to do.
Oh, it's a clear-cut choice.
Yeah, because there comes a point where Shawn... just based on his in-ring abilities, like, you can't keep him heel.
Right.
Because the fans are just like, this. It's like the AJ Styles effect.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, well, this guy's doing all these things. It's like, how can I boo him?
Absolutely.
While the guy next to him, it won't leave his feet.
Right.
So.
Right.
But I think right now, it's just like, the way his attitude is, it's very cocky.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very like, I don't like him.
Yeah, definitely.
No matter what happens. So like, if let's say at the Rumble, and like Sherry like uses her shoe on Michaels, I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, Shawn. I'd be like, fuck yeah. Like Jannetty's champion. Yeah. Like, so it wouldn't be.
I just thought that was interesting.
Unless you do it where like Sherry teases that she's with Shawn.
And like
And then
screws him
like
over.
yeah, and like you
screws him
gotta
over.
like film him being like, oh, I knew it, like I'll change whatever.
Yeah.
And then she like double crosses him. He's like, what? I'm sorry. And,
Yeah.
like I guess there's different ways of going about
Right.
it, but I don't know.
Right. I thought it was interesting. From there, Gene moves on to some of the announced people for the Rumble.
Okay.
So we get names like Flair, Tatanka, IRS, Bob Backlund, Jerry Lawler, Mr. Perfect.
Lawler's is in the match.
He's in it. Yeah, he's announced.
Oh, so it's just as commentator. Okay. So just as a commentator, that's only like a few weeks then.
Right.
Okay.
Then we get a Perfect promo, Mr. Perfect. He says he's, having a good time heading into the Rumble for the title opportunity. Typical babyface promo.
Right.
I like Mr. Perfect as a face, but obviously his heel stuff's better.
Mr. Perfect, the name alone is a heel.
Right.
I was thinking about it before we were doing this, and I was really trying to think, like, do I even really enjoy a Mr. Perfect match? Because I was thinking, like,
I'm still saying yes.
Here's my point. So I'm thinking, okay, so what's like a really great Mr. Perfect match? I'm like, okay, well, you got Bret at SummerSlam 91. Mm-hmm. Sure. And then it's like, before that, nothing comes to mind.
Right.
And then you come into 93 and he just came back. Like the tag match at Survivor Series, like, well, whatever. That's pretty hokey. And then later on in the year, there's another Bret match. That's a good match, but it's the same guy.
Right.
And then pretty disappointing match later on with Michaels.
Right.
So it's like, that didn't deliver. And then he's gone.
Well, I think, injuries played a part in that too. Because really, he didn't get a whole bunch of time.
Right, but if I'm just since we're all over the place anyway, we're not strictly doing 93. Even when he goes to WCW in 97.
Right. Yeah, by then I feel like his greatest matches are definitely behind him.
Yeah, but like, I'm just trying to think of in 93. Like there's nothing that comes to mind. Maybe I'm completely missing something. I know he has like a good match with Doink like later on here, like in June or something like that, but I don't know. Like I don't think he's that great. I think he's more of a promo, like a heel promo.
Absolutely.
I think
he's talking people into the into the building.
100%.
For sure.
Yeah. That's what I took it as.
Although I'm still putting him on the card just because I know he'll deliver. It might not be the greatest match of the night.
Well, he's a name at this point.
Yeah, he's going to deliver.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we get a run-of-the-mill Perfect promo. We get more names announced. Ted DiBiase, Crush, Rick Martel, Yokozuna is announced. Fuji and Yoko get a promo time. They get some promo time. Fuji, I noticed, even calls him Yokozuna. Fuji says it.
You know what? That doesn't surprise me.
So it's like, I don't know.
Maybe they don't know how to pronounce the name.
It's a joke.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So
I think I vaguely remember hearing Fuji be like, "My Yokozuna."
Yeah, he definitely does.
That's interesting. I mean, I don't.
I just don't get it. I don't get
so
it.
maybe, like, what's the possibility of like Bartlett going up to, because they're obviously on the same show. So what if he's like, "Hey, what's this guy's name?" And Fuji's like, "Yokozuna."
Right.
So he's like, "Okay,
just being Fuji."
Yeah. Okay, Yokozuna. Great. Thanks, man.
Right.
He's like, "Oh, Yokozuna's wearing a diaper." It's like,
maybe he's trying to rib the guy.
Yeah.
Make him look stupid on TV.
Right.
I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? We get more names announced. Macho Man, Papa Shango, Earthquake, Berserker.
Hus.
Yeah. Undertaker, Carlos Colon, Great Tenryu, Tito Santana, Typhoon.
All these guys are announced during that?
Oh, yeah. Fatu, Jim Duggan. Duggan gets a promo. Doesn't guarantee he's going to win the match. Just promises to give his fans 110%.
Are you shitting me? He's like, I'm not winning. I
can't guarantee a match. Like a win. But I'm going to give it 110%.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard a wrestler be realistic.
Ridiculous. Why would you say that?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to win, but I'm going to try hard.
That's like Razor Ramon cutting a promo, be like, I know I've only been here for 8.5 months, but I'm going to try real hard.
Might tap out, might not,
Chico. Yeah.
Come on.
I'm either going to pin you or not. I don't know.
Come on, Jim.
Yeah. Like I think the promo there should be like, I'm tossing 29 other Americans, whoever, out, and I'm going to Mania, bro.
He won the first one.
Does he even know? Does he even mention that?
No.
What the fuck?
No.
So I mean, one of I don't think I paid attention really to the Royal Rumble report. I just treat that as like whatever's going on.
Oh no, I was tuned in. I was tuned in.
I'm surprised he's never like, I won in '88. I'm gonna win in '93. Nothing.
As far as I know, and it's not on my notes, so I don't think so.
Wow.
I don't think so.
I wonder if they even mention it like on commentary ever.
I don't know.
When we watch the Rumble and we come back and we do this,
Yeah.
I hope like Monsoon's like, he won in '88.
I bet you he will.
He has to.
I bet you he will.
Yeah, he has to.
I thought this whole like Royal Rumble report, like I get what it's for, obviously. I just feel like it took away too much from the live show.
I feel like
they spent a lot of the time.
I feel like this is something you do on the syndicated shows.
Yes,
on
it got too much
Superstars or
time
something.
on your
Yeah.
live show. I thought it was good to see Gene though, and obviously they have to hype up the Royal Rumble, so it was nice to get a couple promos in there, even though they were very short. So from there, we cut back to Sean Mooney, and hey, look, a small crowd of extras is in the background. Still not very many. Still an awkward number of people.
Is it like the entire street, right? Is it just those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to do better than that.
And now Heenan is dressed up as Uncle Morty Feldman.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hasidic Jew. Bobby just teases he's going to get in one way or the other. And then he suggests I'll go through the roof access. Again, at this point, it's like, I feel like they're wasting Heenan with this crap.
I was just thinking, I feel like it's kind of like a signal of phasing him out.
Absolutely.
Because like they're clearly going younger.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few remaining guys from the golden era.
Right.
So it's kind of like, we don't want you calling the action.
Right.
So we'll just figure out a way to have you on there, but like comedy way. Yeah. I can see that.
Well, they're definitely making a joke out of him, obviously. Yeah. Which is kind of like, I give Heenan, obviously, some of the best, announce moments of all time at the announce table.
Well, yeah. I mean, you were mentioning the Royal Rumble 92. I mean, that's like the greatest hour.
Yeah. Yeah. Him alone makes the show worth it.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, I just thought it was like...
It's not a kilt. It's a kilt.
It's a kilt. It's a kilt, I swear. It's manly. Yeah, I loved it. Although that's not the Heenan we're getting here, and I was a little bummed about that.
Yeah.
We get a recap of WWF Superstars with Kamala getting scolded by Harvey Wimpleman and
See, now I didn't
Kim
write that.
Chi.
I didn't even write that on my notes.
Again, we're going to taped crap on a live show.
Well, they're pushing stuff. They're pushing the syndicated.
I don't care about that.
That's where the money's at. That's the money's in syndication for, I think, at least 2 more years. So I think we'll see a lot of that where it's like, oh, this is what happened on Superstars last weekend.
Well, now we've been away from live Raw, though, for a while.
That is true.
Because we're coming off
the Rumble report's at least like 6 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes probably.
Yeah, and then we get a Heenan segment, which is, I assume, probably taped.
Oh, yeah.
And then we go to another taped recap,
Okay, so the recap is of Kamala turning face.
Yep. And Slick comes down to kind of...
What do you think of Kamala?
WCCW Kamala or this Kamala?
This Kamala.
Not a fan.
I didn't even like him when he was a heel in this WWF in '92.
No, I didn't either.
I don't think I got it.
I think Kamala is one of those guys where he's just strictly, I hate to say it, a territory heel. That's not a heel you're going to put on against Bret Hart at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
He's not that heel. He's a territory, like, niche Ugandan, warrior.
I think it works if you're doing like what they did in the '80s with him and Hogan. Like, oh, he's the heel of the month,
right?
And we'll stick him on there for a little while.
That's all it is. So I mean, I was just like, ugh, with this. I was kind of ready for this to be done. But then we go back to Live Raw, and guess who's on the screen?
Who?
Good old Damien Demento in the ring.
Boy.
So I'll leave you with that. So by all means, please pick up the baton, because if not, I'm going to throw it into the crowd, and we're never going to get it back.
Okay, so this goes like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
To begin with, it's thank God it's short.
Yeah.
But it's also incredible. It's the first Raw main event.
Yeah.
I don't know how they thought of, all right, what's a great way to close this one? Okay, Taker, he's a great number one face, great. Who should be the heel? Demento. Yes, perfect. Demento is great in this role. Boom, got it. Damien Demento is one of easily the worst wrestlers I've ever had to watch in my entire life. Do you want to? I'm going to tell you a match right now that I had to watch a while back, and I want you to guess on how much I enjoyed it. It was Damien Demento against Bob Backlund. They went like 13 minutes.
Oh my God.
In like Rhode Island or something. And I remember, like, you know, when I was doing writing the matches that were in the review, and I remember typing that. It was like the second match. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Wow.
You know, like the first match was like head shrinkers and like disasters. I'm like, okay, I can deal with that. And
right.
I'm like, oh my God, 13 minutes of Demento Backlund?
No.
In 92 Backlund?
No.
Like, oh my God. He is... I think Damien Demento is one of my least favorite wrestlers. I know, like, we used to talk about it a lot. Like Dino Bravo, I hated him. Like Greg Valentine, you know, pretty boring. But
yeah,
Damien Demento. I mean, my brain is going numb just thinking about that guy. They go like I said, they go like two or 3 minutes. It's like the sloppiest 3 minutes of I've ever seen in my life.
Horrible.
I'm like, what? I was like, how is this? How are they just like, oh, yeah, this is great.
It was a mess.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
And, I mean, what? Taker goes over the tombstone? Thank God.
Yep. And even that's kind of a little sloppy.
Yeah.
You know. But yes, I got... the Taker's getting a good reaction here.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Again, I still feel like I'm hearing piped in audio.
You know what? That has to be edits.
It's got to be.
I would have to think so.
Because it's literally the same loop of audio. Like, I can tell it's like the same clapping, the same yes, and like the same whistling every time. So it's got to be a network thing.
You really think they would take the time to do that for every episode?
I don't know.
I mean, they had to have when they...
It's like, WWE we're talking about.
Right, so they could have.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe I'll try to find like the original broadcast versions.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll like just put it on for like a minute and be like, is there a difference?
I know. Yeah, because I noticed it right away.
Yeah.
Right away.
Interesting.
Demento's barely selling here, I feel like, for The Undertaker. I feel like he's not really selling much.
Well, you know, he never was really a seller.
Right.
I don't know if he knew how to wrestle.
Right.
Or tell a story.
What is his gimmick? What is he?
From the outer reaches of your mind. That's where he's from. So, like, he's not in my mind. He's the outer reaches of my mind. So I don't even know if he exists. That's how I interpret that.
I say we just wrap it up there.
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's like... Come on, it's 93. We're still doing this bullshit.
This guy is a wrestler you would see like fighting in your local independent company, but like in a parking lot.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like not even at a armory or nothing. It's like in the parking lot.
He's wrestling on the ring made out of tarps and tires.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. He's just so bad.
Main eventing the first Raw ever. Damien Demento. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't even want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah.
Bad.
Moving on, Doink gets a promo to close out Raw, saying that he will get him getting the last laugh is all that matters.
Right.
Easy for me to say. Crush comes down to the ring and is sick of Doink's pranks being played on everybody. So naturally, Doink squirts him with a squirt gun, and Crush is pissed. Crush keeps saying, bruh. Like, oh, bruh.
Yeah.
So, like, they're really pushing the big island. Him being from the big island.
The Hawaiian gimmick.
Yeah. So I thought that was funny.
I wonder if they did that because, Hogan with the brother.
Who knows?
I wonder if they're trying to be like, Crush could be kind of like a Hogan. Like, oh, brother.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you something, bruh.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was funny because when he chases after him, there's a few times where Crush has to, like, stop. Like, clearly stop.
I noticed that, too.
Because, like, he can clearly get his hands on him, and he's just like, nope.
No,
like a stutter step.
Bro.
Yeah, like, I don't want to touch the clown.
Oh, my God. It's like they're not even trying to run around the ring. It's like they're just playing. It's like a game.
It seemed like as if Doink had got a good head start.
Yes.
And then he got around the ring and was like, I think I'm good. And Crush is like, I'm right here, brother. He's
Yeah.
like, fuck. And he's got to
Yeah.
run again. And then
Yeah.
Crush is like just looking like an idiot.
Yeah. I thought that was really, really poor seeing that because it's like, just go over and beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, he doesn't even really try to reach out to grab him.
Not at all.
He just chases after him.
Yeah.
That's like somebody giving you direction. Hey, run after him, but don't touch him.
Right.
And you're like, okay.
Okay, bruh.
But like if I'm right here and you're right here, like I'm not gonna be like, what?
Well, now what? What do we do now?
Where do you run? No,
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna like hit you once at
right.
least, you know.
You're pissed at this guy.
Yeah.
Hit him.
Like you keep on pulling pranks on people and fans, and you're just like, just run.
Yeah.
I'll let you go.
And then it ends up with like Crush is in the ring, his music hits.
Right.
And it's like he's taunting Doink to get in, but obviously Doink's not going
Which
to do that.
blows my mind because you had him right there.
Exactly.
So why are you like, come in the ring?
Exactly.
Such a wrestling thing.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Ugh. And for that to be one of the closing live the closing live segment, come on.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I think it just shows that they're really trying to push that feud.
Absolutely.
You know,
It's almost desperation mode.
I
feel
think
like.
they're going like, it felt like it was trying to go all in with Doink.
Yes.
And clearly
Yes.
by the Meltzer notes of him feuding with Bret or whatever, him matches with Bret in February.
Right.
Like they're really trying to drive home like this guy was going to be a top act.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I thought it was funny too because I feel like Doink got probably the most screen time out of anybody. All
Oh,
night.
yeah.
You know, he was on almost ringside every match.
Yeah, like him and Heenan probably got the
Yeah.
most. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. We cut back to Heenan, who's on the roof with one security guy and Sean Mooney. So again, the awkward 3 people.
Yeah.
Heenan is finally allowed to go into the Manhattan Center, just as the signature banner appears and the show goes off air.
It figures.
Damn it.
Oh, I'm in, man. All right, great. Show's over. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's kind of like the expected conclusion of the
I
show
know.
angle, you know? Like,
I
oh, he's
know.
in, but we're out of time.
But it turns into Mooney, I guess, is playing off the fact that he knows the show's wrapping up, so he
Right.
just lets Heenan go. Like,
yeah.
okay, go ahead.
It's like you got like the cue, like, okay, oh yeah, you can go right ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so I thought that was funny. He's putting up this fight all night, and it's like, oh, go ahead.
You know what
You're
this
all set to
means,
go
right?
in.
We're probably gonna get Shawn Mooney and Heenan at Mania.
If not, like, what are they doing?
Yeah, like that should be. The
That's main
marquee
event, brother.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah.
It's main event, bro.
The winner can host Raw.
Yeah. Why not?
But then there's a swerve and they don't let Heenan into the Mania arena for 3 hours.
Right.
I missed the match. What
right,
the hell?
Right. All in all, I feel like the show was okay. It proved to feel somewhat experimental, like we were talking about to
yeah,
start
for
out.
sure.
They were definitely like trying different stuff. But it definitely separates itself from typical WWF programming at the time. Because like you said, it's more of a younger, upbeat. Like I feel like they accomplished what they were trying to. But it's still a rocky start. I mean, Ramon comes out looking like a star. Undertaker, Yokozuna, Michaels. I feel like all those appearances were pretty effective. And, you know, for being the first Raw, nothing really over the top happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was kind of expecting more of, wow, instead of, wow.
Yeah, like the whole uncut, uncensored thing. Like you would think, oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
You know, like a debut or something happening in a match where it's like, oh, I've never seen that before.
Right.
You know, anything.
Right.
I'm pretty much the same way with you. I mean, nothing overly memorable with it. The right guys I think the right wrestlers were focused on, for sure. Even though I forgot about the Steiner Brothers on my notes.
We'll pretend that didn't happen.
I'm gonna mention it now.
Or I'm going to tell Scott Steiner,
Yeah,
one of the two.
Don't do that. Yeah, I mean, you know, you focus on the right heels. And I mean, the Steiner Brothers and Undertaker are pretty much your top 2 faces, really, aside from Bret. But yeah, I liked it better than Primetime Wrestling. I know you said you haven't seen a lot of Primetime. I've watched a lot of Primetime Wrestling, especially 92, which is a good lead-in for 93. Just because, like, with Primetime, you would have, let's say you had 10 matches. But chances are they're from, like, 6 different arenas. And they're not even... So let's say you're watching Primetime Wrestling in April of 92.
Right.
The chances are the matches you're watching were filmed in June of 91.
Right.
You know, it's, like, not even present.
And that's what I noticed. It's more or
Yeah.
less like a highlight show.
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
Here was a good match. Let's watch this.
Yeah, and a lot of pre-tape stuff,
Yeah.
obviously, and then
Yeah.
like studio stuff. So
Right.
this atmosphere of it being live, and even though there was pre-tape stuff, it's just a better feel
Absolutely.
production-wise. And
Absolutely.
that's definitely a show where, Like, you can't miss it.
Right. Well, because it's noticeable.
Yeah.
You can notice it's a different format.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I would say it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like I wouldn't say it was bad.
Right.
Just nothing memorable, noteworthy. It's just like, oh, it's the first Raw. That was pretty much it for me.
I don't like that was the noteworthy part of it. No, it's the first Raw. What? Give us more.
I know, like, I'm trying to think of what could have been, like, the main draw.
Right.
You know, what was the main...
What made people
appeal?
tune into this other than it's the first Raw?
Right. Like, oh, it's live. Maybe it's live? Because they didn't have a live show then?
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have been it.
I guess.
I don't know. Should we just jump right into the next one then? Since we have notes for him?
I say let's do it.
Okay. I feel like your notes are better than mine. So you want to lead in?
For episode 2, yeah, maybe.
Go ahead.
I mean, we'll see. We're back at the Manhattan Center for episode 2. Damn it. There's Rob Bartlett again.
God damn it.
Episode 2.
There should be a drinking game. For every time that Rob Bartlett's on the show, take a shot.
You'd be dead.
I would be annihilated like
You'd be
drunk
dead.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be dead. Yes, I was hoping he was just going to be a one-off for the premiere show. I was completely wrong, and I was pretty bummed out about that. He rips up a picture of Bobby Heenan, and
Yes.
Savage is immediately attacked by the Repo Man. So I was glad that, Bartlett kind of got cut off there. He wasn't really able to go into anything. Repo Man steals Savage's hat and runs off as the cameraman does a little bit more shaking effect than he needed to sell the moment.
Who did?
The cameraman. Like, to
Oh my
sell the
God.
moment.
So they
after...
did like the...
Well, yeah,
kinda
and it
similar
was
to
like a
doing it.
confusing, like, oh, it's chaos. But it was like chaos for too long with the cameraman. Because,
Oh, really?
like, the attack was over.
I wonder if he tripped.
I don't know.
He could have.
I don't know, but I thought that was a little weird. But this, I thought, really added to the unpredictability that the show's promising. Because I did not expect Repo Man to blindside Randy Savage.
I agree. I mean, the way he came from behind
Yeah, wicked.
and
yeah.
the way that the camera was angled, really, like, you didn't see
You
him
didn't
coming.
see him. Yeah.
I think I was just disappointed that it was Repo Man.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm all in favor of ridiculous gimmicks.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm right with you with, like, Papa Shango.
Mm-hmm.
I love Papa Shango.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I like Repo Man. I like the character Repo Man.
Right.
Like, what's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine
Mm-hmm.
too, or what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine too, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a pretty, he's a good comedy heel.
Right.
But having him attack Randy, I mean, he wasn't even, I don't think Repo Man had been relevant on television for months.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, just kind of out of nowhere. I mean, and the stealing of the hat,
Yeah.
like, there's got to be a better way to make people care about this.
Well, I feel like that's a rib on Savage, too.
That could
Like with
be.
the hair, and the bald spot and stuff. It's
Right.
like, oh,
I
we'll
mean,
take
and
your
he's
hat.
got his outlandish costumes, so maybe
Well,
it's
right.
like, oh, we're going to, steal part of it
Right.
or whatever.
We'll just take his jacket. Rip the jacket off him.
I would just, I mean, this is just me being a wrestling fan. Like, I would just prefer if he just, like, bloodied him up. Uncut, uncensored, raw.
Oh, well, Repo
Just
Man,
have
though.
your hook. He's got a freaking hook thing. Just bust him open with your metal hook and be like, ha ha ha.
I guess.
And then skedaddle out. And Savage just commentary busted open the rest of the night pissed.
Right. Right.
You know, instead of, I got your hat.
Well, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's
But it's
definitely
cartoony.
like, it's cartoon hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Definitely.
But, I mean, and Repo Man is absolutely atrocious in the ring. So I'm
Yeah.
not looking forward to that blow off.
No.
So,
I was a little bummed out in Savage's case because it's like they still like so it's a whole youth movement, and they're still letting Savage kind of dip his toes in because he's going to be in the Rumble as announced last episode. But then you give him a bone in the form of Repo Man.
I mean, it could be something like we don't want to sacrifice a young guy.
Right.
So it's like, oh, what kind of heel can we give him?
Right.
Well, we're not doing anything with Repo.
Right.
What the hell we... Okay, there you go.
Right.
Something like that. He's absolutely... Not, I mean, Randy's definitely not a focus on television.
No.
So I think this is just like, we'll pop the crowd. Like, we know the fans still love you.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, here you go.
Yeah. And it felt like that, which kind of sucked.
Right.
But that moves us into our first match. Terrific Terry Taylor enters the ring.
He comes out to the Red Rooster music. I noticed that. Just without the cock-a-dock-a-doo part.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Yeah, it's just a regular beat to it. But
Yeah. I don't know, and it may be just me, but I feel like Terry Taylor steals a lot from Piper, like mannerism wise.
To me, it came across like a cheap Flair knockoff.
Well, look wise,
Yeah,
with the knee
right,
pads and the
right.
robe, and yeah. But I feel like his mannerisms are very Piper. Like he's trying to be Piper. That's what I got from it.
He could be.
I don't know.
I don't think I paid attention that much to Terry Taylor, to be honest with you.
Unfortunately, I did. At least he's taking on Perfect here, which I was like, okay, you got Perfect and Terry Taylor, you might get something okay.
You see, okay, so I don't think I've ever enjoyed Terry Taylor.
Oh, I don't at all.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been like, oh, dog, can't wait to see Terry Taylor fight.
No. But I feel like Perfect was going to carry him, and I was looking forward to that part of it.
Right. I mean, it's better than Repo.
Yeah.
I would assume so.
Yeah. So the match, I mean, decent. Although I feel like I can tell like something, especially for this being the start of the match, we're gonna get some fuckery. Mm-hmm. Again, Savage is out of breath at ringside, still selling his hat being stolen. Hennigan, I noticed this and I thought this was really funny. Hennig is using dirty tactics, and the crowd's loving it. They like that he's cheating.
Well, like I said, I feel like he's a heel.
Yeah, but they're loving it.
I know, I know he's being presented as a face and everything, but
right.
I feel like everything about him
right
is a heel.
Yeah. So
this is like one of the first instances of a face doing heel things.
Yeah,
but then still getting cheered for.
Exactly. It was like the first. Oh, I'm a bad guy, but I'm a cool bad guy.
Although, I mean, Hogan did that a lot.
Right.
I mean, he was like the biggest star ever.
Yeah.
But I feel like if Jannetty were to cheat.
Right.
I don't think people are like, oh, yeah, Marty.
Right.
He's like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool. It shows that Perfect's definitely over. Like, he's over. The crowd is going to cheer him.
Well, it's New York.
It's New York. Yeah.
Yeah, given the area.
Yeah. I definitely did notice that there wasn't as much piped-in audio for this episode. So maybe just the first episode, the crowd was very vocal to where the WWE was like, all right, we can't use some of this.
I think this one's taped.
Oh.
Which is interesting that there'd be less piped in stuff. Because I would think the tape episode you get more.
Right. Well, again, maybe, the crowd could have been chanting, like, fuck you. But they had to pipe over or whatever.
Right.
For the first episode.
Right.
I don't know. I guess I didn't notice it as much.
I'm pretty sure this one's taped.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I think this one's taped.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I did notice that part. Brain calls in over the phone. And he talks about, Savage and Repo Man, and that Repo Man's going to repossess Savage's career. I was like, wow.
That's an attempt for a hard sell that I'm just not buying.
Yeah. Yep. We get another mid-match effing commercial. So they're going with this. This is going to be the standard. Match 1, mid-match commercial.
I just feel like that takes a lot of life out of the match.
Absolutely it does.
And
Absolutely.
I wouldn't say this is a feature match or anything, but it's definitely not a squash match.
No.
It's like Taylor's had some success.
Yeah. After the commercial, Heenan's still on the phone, and it seems just like
he's on the phone the entire time.
It's like no reason. They're not really even talking. Like Heenan's barely talking, and it's just like it gets to the point where I don't know. Vince gets mad with Heenan, and they hang up on him, and it's like, well, what was the point of calling in?
Right. So I wonder if it's like because he wants to be on commentary.
I guess.
And the best thing you do is get on the phone. Are you telling me that? I mean, obviously, I watched it, and I don't think I was paying attention nearly as much as you have. Mm-hmm. So during that entire interaction, does he not promote the narcissist? Because they're clearly
he definitely makes mention to Perfect because that's what the match is on. He definitely makes mention, but I don't think he directly because that's actually something I have in the notes. There's no mention of the narcissist this whole episode.
That makes me think it's taped.
Yeah, there's nothing.
That's weird.
So then we get... I just feel like you can tell there's no real plan here to have Heenan on the phone. It's just Heenan on the phone. The crowd chants, "This match sucks."
Well, I personally didn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely not piped in.
No. Well, and that's the good thing about the Manhattan fans is that they were vocal.
Yeah.
If this happens on Superstars in Boise, Idaho, they're probably going to be like, all right, that was okay.
Yeah.
But the New York guys are like, what the hell?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Very slow paced match.
Yeah.
Nothing really happened. It's effing Terry Taylor. You know, it is what it is. They both laid their stuff in. Perfect goes over. Before, Flair appears ringside. Attacks Perfect at ringside behind the ref's back. Like pummels him.
Right.
Pummels him. And it's Ric Flair. You know, this isn't no jabroni.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect hits his finishing move seconds after this attack. And pins him as if nothing happened.
It's good storytelling.
What the fuck?
I know. I remember. Yeah, because I remember. I was wondering if you were going to mention it because watching him, you know, Flair pulls him out and just pummels him
Beats the hell out of him.
on the floor. Yeah, and then skedaddles out, and then Perfect gets back in there and
Recovers.
Then, and then pins him, and then like runs to the back to go after Flair.
Right.
I'm like, what did he sell?
Nothing.
And that makes like obviously Taylor's not that big of a deal, but like that's like you getting absolutely annihilated.
Yeah.
And then, you know, me getting up and then you pinning me.
Right.
And then I look like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, he just brushes it off.
Yeah. He's like, oh, what's that, fly?
Yeah.
You know? And then like
It's fucking Ric Flair.
I know, but like that just killed I feel like
It killed it. Yeah.
it kills Taylor.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just thought I remember feeling it was very awkward that they would do what they did.
Yeah, why? What was the point? That was a waste. Why do that? Just let Perfect get the clean victory.
I feel like
You know?
Perfect gets the win and then Flair comes out.
We're
and
not
beats
worried
him
about
down.
hurting Terry Taylor.
Right.
Let him get the victory.
Right. Well, I mean, he does get a clean victory.
Well, but it's
Even
like
after he got his ass kicked.
I know, but it's like a
I didn't like it.
I don't know. Why? Why do that?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is like the hatred. So like Flair just hates Perfect so much for turning on him. So he's like, I can't wait anymore. Goes out there, beats a shot of him. But then it doesn't. It kind of diminishes the attack by Flair. That
Nothing happens.
Perfect's like, oh, I'm good. Oh, but now I hate you. I gotta go get you.
Literally, if you were to crop Flair out of that video footage and just have Perfect
You would never
selling
know.
on the, you would never know.
Never know.
You'd never know.
Yeah.
So I thought that sucked. That really kind of killed it for me.
No, I agree.
Otherwise, it was like, you know, it was a slow, boring match, but it was like, okay.
I almost would have liked to have like Flair beat him up and Taylor just get a win.
Could you imagine? That would have been like kind of surprising.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a rematch
For
a couple
a Raw,
weeks.
like, whoa.
Uncut, uncensored.
There you go.
You never know what's going to happen here.
There you go.
Terry Taylor just won a match for the first time in 3 years.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving on from that, we get an Ico Pro promo.
I wonder where we got the name for this.
You know, I was thinking of it, and it's just, we pull it out of thin air.
Yeah. I mean, I've always liked Ico.
Right.
And
And
then,
we're both pros.
Right. But then, like, when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I was like, what are the odds of that?
Right.
Because we used to talk about Ico being like, I'm Ico and you're pro.
Right.
And we were like, what about Ico Pro? And then we saw that, like, oh, fuck, we can't use that. So, like, Ico Pod.
We
as a
almost,
podcast.
yeah, we almost thought about changing the name.
Yeah.
They were trying to rip us off a little bit.
You know what? I want to note right now that I did reach out to Lex Luger to do an opening for this on Twitter. He has yet to acknowledge it. So if anybody listening to this, I know we're an hour and a half in, so God bless you. But if you want to tweet at Lex Luger and be like, hey, man, you should do that opening for IcoPod, you know, maybe he'll be inclined to do it.
I hope so.
Yeah. Because, like, I think that'd be pretty cool. If Lex Luger was just like, IcoPod, you've got to hear it.
Nothing would beat that.
Yeah.
Nothing would beat
I mean, he would probably want a royalty or something.
Yeah. Well, we're not getting Bret. Bret's not doing it.
I don't know, man.
There's no way.
You never know.
There is no
We could get Bret.
He's a money guy.
He
We
is
talk money.
well, you know what? He is coming to Syracuse.
You imagine that? You
Maybe-
go up to his table.
Hey, bro, I got
Can you
a
just read
microphone.
this? Just read this really quick, please. I don't want your signature. No picture. Just read this.
And just have like a recorder there.
Yeah.
I got you, bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
Just be done with it. I don't know.
Who knows? March 9th, I think, is when he's coming.
All right.
Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah.
Hey, Bret. Oh, yes, got it.
You imagine that?
And just
Screw Luger.
a confused Bret. IcoPod, you've got here. What is this? That's it. That's all I
No, we'll
want.
take it. We'll take it.
We'll even take you questioning what it is.
We'll take
What
it.
is this? It's fine.
So, but yes, I thought that was a fitting thing to make mention of. And you know what? Ico Pro, seriously, they're pushing it like crazy.
There's a fucking banner.
Like crazy.
There's a fucking banner.
And it's what? A supplement.
Yeah, I don't know if it's legal, though.
I don't know.
I mean, I think steroids at that point were legal, technically. They weren't
Right.
illegal until like 98.
Right.
But, yeah, like I'm pretty sure that they're not.
Well, if you notice, they're trying to cover it up by pushing it as a bodybuilding supplement and not a
Yes.
pro wrestling supplement.
Right, it's like a
You know what I mean?
WBF type of
Yeah,
thing.
right,
Yeah.
right. So they're trying to keep their distance, but it's still like, we know what you're doing, Vince.
Yeah.
We know.
Right.
We're in the loop. We get you.
And the guys that are promoting it are like later on. Luger does. Well, does Luger do it? Who was doing the Ico Pro there? Bret.
Bret was doing it here, but
Well,
Luger does do them.
Yeah, Bret's not like a body guy though.
He was pretty built for a smaller guy.
You know what? You're probably right because like the straps kind of hide.
He was pretty built.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, he wasn't shredded like
He was-
Rude.
Right, or like jacked to the gills.
But for like a smaller guy, he's bigger than Michaels for
Yes.
comparison,
Yep.
So I thought that was funny. Speaking of Bret Hart, we get an in-ring promo.
That was a good transition.
Thank you.
I didn't even think that was
Thank
good.
you.
Nice.
You would have thought I've done this before. Which I haven't. Hart gets an in-ring promo here. Bret says he can take Razor's insults, but won't put up with his disrespect towards his brother and his father. Because Razor basically says he's going to slap a 78-year-old man previously. So Bret calls Razor the lowest form of scum in the WWF for even saying he'd slap an old man, which I thought was funny. Because Bret even references his father as an old man. I mean, he is.
Yeah, he's being honest.
Yeah, right. Bret seems to fumble every other word here.
I noticed
he's
that.
not confident in his promo.
And it's a live atmosphere.
Yeah, and you can really tell he's kind of having a tough time.
Yeah.
He
Meanwhile,
says-
if Hogan was out there,
Oh yeah,
he'd kill it.
oh yeah, no question,
100%.
no question. And now you got to think this is the WWF champion, and
Right.
he's like bumbling his words.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I was a Bret guy,
Me too.
so. But I can see, like, again, like I always like to compare to the casual fans. So, like, if a casual fan's tuning in, he's like, this guy can't talk,
Right.
and he's a champion. Like, how am I
Right.
supposed to get behind him?
The champion.
Right.
The
So if you
champion.
compare Ramon's promo to Bret, Ramon looks better than Bret.
Absolutely.
Sure, Ramon is basic, but he delivered
cheesy.
it. Yeah, but he delivered it.
Right.
Meanwhile, Bret's fairly basic, but he's just like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Or
No,
whatever.
he was. He was like stumbling over his words.
Yeah.
So he goes on to say, technically he's the best wrestler in the WWF, but he's going to throw out all the rules. And once the Royal Rumble comes, it's all gloves are off, basically, with Razor Ramon. I think it's kind of good the way they're transitioning it from, okay, I know you're picking on my family, but like now it's between me and you and it's personal. So I'm glad they're kind of moving away from the family a little bit.
I mean, the
like
whole-
Owen's not mentioned, other
Whoa.
than, I'm sick of you picking on my family and disrespecting
The
my
whole
family.
thing is indirect, though,
Yes.
because he's still, the
Yes.
father is not, he hasn't done anything to Bret.
Right.
He's done it to or is threatening to do it to his family.
Right.
So there's still not that personal conflict. I mean,
Right.
Bret's taking it personally,
Right.
but it's not like Razor's done anything directly to him.
Right.
So for that, I mean, I'm not sold on it. It doesn't come across like a world title feud. There hasn't been anything that's happened for me to be like, I can't wait to watch Royal Rumble right now. Like, no, like I don't. That just seems like this is like something that you would build up for a Raw.
Right. Hey, next week
Yeah,
we're having this.
yeah,
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And you know what? Another thing is too. I feel like maybe that's a crutch that Bret carries with him his whole career. Because it's always about his effing family.
That's true.
Always.
And you know what? I'm just thinking about it. Why didn't they? They could have done this match like on the first fucking Raw,
Right.
and then done Bret Flair at Royal
Right.
Rumble.
Right.
Because you did it on Mania or whatever. You briefly promote it, or maybe even this is the week. I guess 6 days before Rumble,
Yeah.
so you don't want to do it
Yeah.
this week. But
No.
you could have done it the first episode.
Right.
Give
Make
him-
that the main event.
Yeah, give them 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that would have been
Yeah.
a better thing than Shawn Michaels and Max Moon for 8.5 minutes.
Or wait, you're saying Undertaker, Damien Demento wasn't a main event?
I don't. What was I thinking?
Come on,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Who are you?
That was no disrespect intended for Damien Demento.
Yeah, get it right.
How should I know? I would. I prefer Demento over Bret and Razor.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
what was I thinking?
Absolutely.
I totally forgot that match even happened. So
Yeah. So that's what we get from Bret. I mean, shaky at best.
100% shaky.
Shaky at best. Backstage, we get a promo with Bearer and Undertaker again for Headlock on Hunger. This whole campaign they're doing. And you know what? Undertaker ends the promo with "Nobody should starve to death."
Yes. Yep, I remember hearing that. Thanks, Taker.
Thought that was a little much.
Nobody should starve.
To death. Nobody should starve to death.
To death.
Thanks. Thank you for that.
I would have laughed if he was just like, some people should, but not people of Somalia.
Right.
Like, there's some people that should die. Probably starve.
Right.
I mean, he's a Grim Reaper. Like, he should want that, though.
Right. But, like...
That would have been a great heel turn.
Everybody should starve to death.
Screw Somalia. Rest in peace. What the hell?
I'm going to take Somalia and tombstone it straight to hell.
Oh, my God. And Paul Bearis is like, yes.
Yeah. So, we got that little gem. Moving on. Marty Jannetty hits the ring and a decent reaction from the crowd. And he's locking up here with Glenn somebody. Glenn Ruth? Glenn Roos?
It's Glenn Ruth.
Fucking A, man.
Do you know who that is?
No.
You don't know who Glenn Ruth is?
No.
He's the future Headbanger Thrasher.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Had no idea.
Yep.
He gets the jump on Marty to start off, but Marty is able to cool him off very quickly. Marty makes his work look so easy in the ring. Like, it blew my mind how good Marty Jannetty is.
I'm telling you, he is, I don't want to say drastically underrated.
I would say heavily.
I would say heavily, yeah.
Heavily underrated.
Because, I mean, a lot of people remember him for all the faults that he had, all the
Right.
mess-ups and stuff. And
Right.
shortly after this, he has a mess-up.
Right.
In the ring, though, I mean, he bumps very well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't think he really bumps this here. It's obviously
Not much,
a showcase for him, but
yeah.
I like Jannetty. Obviously, there comes a point where I don't like him because it so drastically changes for him. But I mean, I mentioned like it goes like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a bit much.
Mm-hmm.
I know like Jannetty's not like a big baby face, like a dominating baby face. Like he's definitely somebody that I could see a jobber getting a few minutes on.
Right.
I don't think you do it here.
No.
6 days before the Royal Rumble.
Right.
I mean, it was fine for what it was, though, I thought. I mean, it wasn't... I just think the squash matches are going a little long.
Yes. Yes.
That's what I think. But
I think it was a good show for Marty, though. Like, it definitely... Because he's literally... I think it was an arm drag that he did. And you could just tell by his facial expressions, he's just cruising through the moves. It's so...
Oh, yeah.
It's second nature to him.
Yeah.
So natural. So I thought I was really appreciative of that. Like, this dude knows. This is a good wrestler.
it makes me wonder, like, if he doesn't screw up...
I know.
Like, what he could have done.
I know.
In 93.
Right.
I mean, once we get past Royal Rumble, we could probably talk about it more.
Elaborate further.
Yeah.
But yes, I agree with you. So I thought that was good, for what it was. Next, during the match, another call-in. HBK calls in.
Right.
Putting himself over Marty as being the key to the success of the Rockers. He talks a lot about the Rockers here, obviously. Vince brings up Sherry, to which Shawn says she is just passionately in love with him and will do whatever he wants.
Right.
HBK says he doesn't need luck in his corner at the Royal Rumble. Savage is on commentary. He continues to fume over his hat being gone. Marty controls most of the matchup and puts Glenn away with something simple. That's the match.
I wonder, because when you first turned on him in 92, I'm pretty sure they were supposed to fight at Mania 8, WrestleMania 8.
Mm-hmm.
And Jannetty, was gone for whatever reason. It kind of surprises me that the focus here is so much on Sherry. Right. Obviously, the breakup, I think, has diminished the interest.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's the whole point of why they're feuding. It's not Sherry.
Right.
There's nothing. I mean,
right.
I know, like, I get, like, the mirror thing. Because, like, I think Sherry gets hit with the mirror on accident or something like that. But the whole point of them hating each other is Michael's turning on him.
Right.
And the focus is what corner is Sherry going to be. I feel like it's misguided.
It's taking away.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure, like, and again, I haven't seen the match at Rumble. I will shortly. But I feel like going into this, it's a very strong history-laden feud where two guys could probably have a pretty damn good match. But the story is about Sherry.
Yeah, the focus is on Sherry, yeah.
Fuck.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
Yeah.
There's so much more they can play off of.
And that just, like, hit me now.
Yeah.
I was just like, why isn't it, like, you threw me through a... He doesn't even talk about getting thrown in a window.
Not through the window. The belt is completely in the background.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It seems like just a misfocus.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. We get an announcement from the commentators that Crush will not be making it to the Royal Rumble. We're shown footage from WWF Superstars where Doink goads Crush into attacking, but Doink beats him with a fake arm, which I thought was pretty entertaining.
It is. And if I remember, because I just watched it this afternoon, I think it's McMahon, maybe Savage. Somebody is on commentary, and they're just like, he just ripped his arm out of his socket.
Yeah.
And I think Savage is like, no, it's just a fake arm. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You're trying to play it off like this guy just ripped his arm out of his
own
socket.
arm and beat another man.
I want to say it was Vince.
Yeah.
That was like, oh my God, he just took out his arm.
Yeah.
It's a prosthetic, Vince.
Yeah.
Or Savage.
Savage tries to validate it by, it's a lead, it's loaded with lead.
Yeah,
it's like a
bullshit.
fake arm.
It's just a plastic piece of shit.
Yeah. And then the segment ends with Slaughter wrestling the arm away from Doink to end. I thought that was hilarious. Sergeant Slaughter wrestling a fake arm.
Shut up, you maggot. That's a horrible Slaughter.
Oh, I loved it. I loved every.
Are you liking Doink?
Of course.
I love Doink.
Of course. Okay. Because you know what? It's typical, 90s WWF comedy in all the right places.
Well, here's the thing. So we haven't seen him wrestle yet.
Right.
Number one, he's killing it with the character.
Oh my God.
And
yeah,
he later on proves that he can go in the ring.
He's put it this way, where Ramon kind of, you can see through him being a Cuban drug lord.
You could see this guy as being an evil clown.
You could see this guy showing up to a kid's birthday party and shitting on their birthday cake.
Right.
And
then laughing about it.
Oh yeah. I buy it. I totally buy it.
Yeah, I agree.
So I thought that was funny. I really liked that they included that in there. As far as from where we go from there, we get another WWF Mania commercial. Still liked it. Same commercial. Still wanted to watch WWF Mania. Moving in.
I'm pretty sure Mania is just like highlights though.
Is it?
I want, maybe they had a few exclusive matches, but it's mostly like call-in show. I think I want to say it's not like Superstars or anything.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Well, then they way overhype it then in the commercial.
Yeah. Because I would always watch the Saturday morning stuff,
right?
And it'd just be like, oh, this is what happened on the syndicated show, or here's what happened on Raw if you missed it.
Oh, that bums
me. And then
me
like
out.
Todd Pettengill like in the studio like playing around or something.
Yeah, that bums me out.
I haven't watched Mania in 25 years.
Right. So, but yeah, there we got another one of those. We return to the announce table where they say Crush has suffered a concussion. Mind you, Doink was beating him in the body area. Right. The whole attack.
Like his like upper back.
Yeah. The whole time they're kind of being pretty serious, Vince and Savage. Bartlett is gnawing on a Slim Jim. Totally no sell in the moment. It's like, are you fucking kidding me with this guy? Just chewing away as Crush's potential career has come to an end.
I think that's crap. That is annoying. It is. They are really pushing this feud though.
Absolutely.
And they're angling Crush as being a big freaking deal.
Yeah. A man of the people.
Right. And Doink being
despicable.
Potentially like, you have Yoko and you have Razor and then like Doink.
Right.
Like he's like number 3 level heel.
Well, Shawn.
I think I'm putting Doink over Shawn right now in terms of like
people hating him. Okay. Yeah. No, I'll give you that. It's crazy though to see like kind of what the angles. It's about Doink pulling pranks on people when Crush is pissed.
Evil pranks.
But it's funny how much heat it's getting.
Yeah.
It's about pranks.
Well, and like in the video that they were showing, like one of the girls was like, "Oh,
yeah,"
you know,
yeah.
Which, who knows? I mean, that could have been edited from something else.
Right,
but
right.
that's a good way of presenting it. Like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting that. What is he doing?
Right.
You know? So it adds to it, sure.
Yeah. But friggin' Crush, so I can't get over it. I'm not a Crush fan. He's sympathetic as a babyface for sure. Like, perfect guy to put against Doink.
Okay. I don't think he's sympathetic.
To get beat up by Doink?
I don't think he's sympathetic. The guy is like 6'9", 320. Getting beat up by a clown. He looks like an idiot.
But he's a surfer, bruh.
Brudda. I don't... It's like, I think it's very difficult for a big guy to be sympathetic.
Yeah.
To get sympathy.
Yeah.
Like Hogan, never. I was never like, oh my God, no, Sergeant Slaughter, don't do that.
Yeah.
It's like, he's coming back.
Well, I guess maybe I see Crush as kind of like a big dumb idiot. And like,
That's not sympathy, though. That's just like, you're dumb. Like, why?
Yeah, but I feel bad for this guy. He's
I don't.
big and stupid and a clown's beating him up. Aw. Poor guy.
I don't see that for Crush.
I don't know.
For me,
I'm not a Crush guy. Maybe that's... I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I think he's had a few good matches. And I think... I mean, there's a moment here in 93 where I think he really hits a stride.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he's, like, as good as they're positioning him.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's a classic WWF mistake, though.
Well, and I think he's a big guy.
Right.
So that's a
That's
thing
what's
they're
helping
trying to
him.
go for.
Yeah.
And their options kind of as a face are limited.
Very limited.
I mean, I swear to God, I remember hearing, like, there was, like, 3 guys that they were thinking about putting the belt on. Bret, Crush, and Tito Santana.
Oh, God.
Could you imagine Tito Santana winning the belt?
Oh, my God.
I want to say it was those 3, and Crush was considered, and then they're just like, oh, let's give it to Bret.
Right.
Thank God
Yeah.
they gave it to Bret.
Yeah.
Because I could have seen Crush getting it, and then it would have just been a horrible, horrible version of what they did with Hogan, or attempting to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been bad.
Mm-hmm. From here, we get Sean Mooney coming into the video feed with Repo Man on the outside of the building. And as soon as Savage sees his hat, he's pissed.
He's got my hat.
Fuming. Repo Man says he's been watching Savage for a long time and says that Savage now has no choice but to pay attention to him, which I thought was weird.
A weird wording.
Yeah, that's weird. Repo Man gets on Mooney's earpiece and tells Savage that the attack was just the beginning. It's gonna get ugly between the two, and then he's willing to take it to the streets of New York if he has to.
Okay, so then the way that I'm interpreting that is like they're a street fight.
And Savage says it.
He does.
He says it. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, right on commentary. Savage gets heated, begins to stand from the table, mentions a New York street fight.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that.
Yep.
Yep.
As Repo Man tells him he's going to put the boots to him and all this. So they kind of go back and forth over the earpiece.
Right.
And yeah, Savage.
I mean, I vaguely remember Repo being like, Savage didn't make payments on his hat.
Yeah, he does mention that. He
Who
throws
the
it
hell
in.
would put... I don't know. That was ridiculous.
I didn't even mention it. That's why.
I just thought it was
It's-
funny, though. I was like, you haven't paid for that hat.
Yeah, you're late on your payments of your hat. Yeah.
I don't know anybody that's ever been like, oh, dude, this hat's really driving me back. I got payments.
Right. They're gonna take the house away. Fucking hat.
Who knows? Maybe Savage spent
Fucking hat.
thousands
Oh, I'm
of
sure he
dollars
did.
on the
I'm
hat.
sure
I
he
don't know.
did. Who knows? You know,
That's
the
just a
outfit
weird-
together. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's...
But again, take the guy's jacket. That's way
Yeah.
more visual. Take his jacket.
Yeah.
What's a hat? Fuck that. Fuck the hat.
It's like the easiest thing to take.
Well,
So
that's yeah.
I guess it's like the cowardly heel part. Of
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he just took the hat. But yeah, I would have like taken off his gear.
Well, to me, it feels like na boo boo. Like I got your hat. What are you gonna do?
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, fuck.
It's just corny 90s WWE.
Terrible. It dates it so badly.
Yeah. And
So
the funny thing is, like, that's not the only time they do something like that.
Oh, I know. Gene's back with the Royal Rumble report. We get no new information from Gene.
The week or 6 days before the show, nothing?
They announced, I feel like, the majority of the people last week.
I know, you listed like 12.
Yeah. But we do get a Razor promo here where he says he isn't worried about things getting personal with Bret. He's got gold on his neck, gold on his fingers, and after Sunday, he'll have gold on his waist.
Oh, so corny and so predictable.
Yeah. So that is the Royal Rumble report this week. We go back to Savage on the outside of the building, so on the streets of New York, with Mooney watching on, reporting back to Vince, who's at the table still. Savage is running back and forth, acting nuts as he checks nearby cabs for Repo Man. Again, no people outside.
So,
There's cars going by back and forth.
So Mooney's out there looking for him?
Well, no, Mooney's in the shot, and he's kind of commenting on what Savage is doing. So it's like a video feed back to Vince.
Oh, okay.
It's a kind of an awkward...
I don't know why I don't remember seeing that.
It's awkward. It's weird again. Because, again, there's no people outside. It's New York City, and there's no people outside. Savage is just looking like a maniac, which is good, because, like, that's Savage.
So Savage is on the hunt for him?
Yes. He's looking for
How do
Repo
I not?
Man.
Okay. I must not have paid attention.
Well, you didn't miss much, because that's literally all that happens. That's it. We cut back. I thought this was really funny, too, because they have the ring girls,
Yes.
for Raw. And the ring girl is holding the sign upside down. Like, it's upside down. And it's like, nobody's telling her that it's upside. She goes around the entire ring with the sign upside down. Awesome. Loved
Nicely
it.
done.
Yeah. This is all the time while the El Matador, Tito Santana, is making his entrance to the ring for the next matchup.
I'll tell you right now, when I was a kid, I only knew of Tito and what he did, like from 90. I would say growing up, most of what I saw was El Matador.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, he's not that great. And then as older I got and the more footage I would, watch and stuff, in like the 80s, Santana was phenomenal.
Right.
Incredible. He had great matches with Savage.
Right.
And just his overall presentation, he was like a house of fire.
Yeah.
And you see him now in 93, I mean, that's only like 7
He's
years.
mailing it in.
For sure.
He's mailing it
For
in.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's just like his style changed that much. I mean, even when he was with Strikeforce and stuff like that, he could go.
Yeah.
Even like 90. As soon as he got this gimmick, it's as if he was like, I'm just coasting.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, I'm not going to care.
Well, his steam was probably done at that point. Like, whatever.
Probably. And I think he had to have known that he was just there to elevate guys.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what he did in 90 with Michaels and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, he was his first Mania match. Like,
absolutely.
Just there to elevate.
Right. By all means, Bob, take it. I got some notes, but I'm sure you do as well.
Well, I mean...
As far as the match?
Yeah, I mean, it was just... I don't know. I mean, these matches compared to the week prior, I mean, they're just kind of dull to me. Just similar to like the Mr. Perfect thing, it seemed like the match was leading into something else, which was Mr. Perfect coming out and brawling with Flair, and then I think it was like a no contest. I don't think he got disqualified or anything. But
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Like the match wasn't. I don't know if I liked the style.
Yeah.
So I just wasn't all that interested in it.
Well, like we talked about with the first episode, this match comparatively just felt dated.
Yeah, I mean, such a heavy focus on the young guys.
Right.
And this episode is literally almost, I think it's pretty much, aside from Doink, and that was even the pre-tape.
Yeah.
It's all old guys.
Right.
They don't fit the, Raw, new era, man.
Right.
It's the slow, heavy on brawling, wrestling. On the first Raw, you got the Steiners doing suplexes and bullshit
huge
like that.
Power moves.
Yeah. And it's just like, Yokozuna doing his running backsplash. It's like, that's impactful. And then here it's like, Flair's going to chop Tito the entire match. Right. Or here's an arm drag. Here's a hammerlock on the mat for, 3 minutes. I don't know. I was hoping that maybe this would be, a compelling match and surprise me.
Right.
But I was not.
Right.
I just didn't really. I couldn't even tell you what happened on it. I didn't put in-depth notes. I was just going off what I remember because that's how I like to do things. And I honestly couldn't tell you.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It was definitely nothing to go out of your way to watch, even though on paper you'd be like, that probably.
I don't even know if on paper, for me, I don't know if I would be like, let's say it was 93. Like, I'm going to bring my head to 93 and be like, next week it's Flair and Tito. I'd be like, Tito?
When you say
Flair,
it like that.
So Flair's going to go over? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so it's like, so Flair's going to beat the guy up for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I really liked that Flair kept calling out to Savage during this match.
I
Like,
didn't
he
notice
kept
that.
yelling to Savage at the announce table, which is awesome because, like,
That's continuation.
yeah, the WrestleMania match.
Well, yeah, I mean, they feuded all year. 92.
Right. So I really liked that. And Flair did it, like, 2 or 3 times.
That's good.
So that was good. Flair's definitely getting cheered over Tito, which I
Yeah,
thought
well,
was
that's,
like,
again, New York.
yeah. I wanted to make note of that. We get another mid-match break.
Of course.
Flair calls out to Savage again and again, and to which Savage just, kind of no-souls Flair a little bit and just goes, unbelievable. He kind of writes it off. But I think that it's like Flair trying to get under Savage's skin still,
Right.
And I liked it.
It's like adding a layer to the feud.
Yeah.
Like, he's not saying it's over.
It made me be like, well, I wish they would do something with that.
Well, I mean, really, the feud shouldn't be over.
I agree.
Savage got Perfect on his side, and there was no actual concrete resolution to
Exactly.
it. So I get why they did
Exactly.
that. Sure.
We get the typical Flair spots here, the over the top rope, followed by the whip to the turnbuckle,
Every
over
match,
and out to the outside.
Every match is the fucking same thing.
Same thing. Tito still has a motor, though. Because he's bell to bell.
He does have, like, that comeback fire still.
Yeah, he's got
he
a
does.
motor still. Which,
Like, he did a few good like the flying forearm, right?
yeah, I'm kind of flying around a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was good. Like you mentioned, Perfect comes down to ringside. He and Flair rumble on the outside. Officials attempt to break him up. They brawl all the way to the back. They get a commercial break, and then they're back out in the arena. So they brawl from the back into the arena.
Okay.
From there, Flair gets a ringside promo with Vince, where he challenges Perfect to a match next week on Raw, and Flair says whoever loses is out of the WWF. After he says that line, he goes over to a girl in the crowd, kisses her, and like comes back to the promo.
That is such a great heel thing to do, though.
Yeah. So he says, "F you, Mr. Perfect. I want your career on line." Goes to smooch a woman in the crowd and comes back. So he goes from there, Perfect isn't man enough to beat Ric Flair. So the little bit of Ric Flair promo we got here was awesome.
I loved, that was a very good promo.
It was awesome. I thought it was great.
Okay, and then, Perfect obviously comes out and accepts it or whatever.
Yep, right.
That is a huge match, though. Career versus career on the 3rd episode.
Yeah.
Like, that is the first match where I'm like, I want to see that.
Right.
Like, these guys hate each other.
Right.
So, now this is another match I haven't seen in forever. So, realistically, like, this should be just a brawl fest.
Yeah.
But I know going into it, you're going to get, here's a fucking hammerlock.
Mm-hmm.
And that type of stuff just takes me out of the match. Like, like Repo and Savage.
Right.
So, like, I'm pretty sure that they're going to be fighting on the next Raw.
Mm-hmm. It's confirmed. They confirm it at the announce table.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and the Savage being like, oh, it should be a street fight. Like, I guarantee you, Repo Man's going to put Savage in a fucking body scissors for 6 minutes. And be like, come on, macho. Meanwhile, it should be like, using a chair or, a street fight. This guy, Savage is so pissed.
So pissed all night.
Yes.
All night. He's furious.
That stuff, that type of context that they don't do drives me nuts.
Right. No, I agree.
Like, Flair and Perfect should be like punches, chops, wrestling, like a fight. Because they've been feuding for 2 months now, and Perfect turned on them, whatever.
Right.
But when I feel like they probably just go to, I'm going to work over your arm for 4 minutes. Loosen up that left shoulder.
I agree.
But I thought it was a really good promo. And I haven't jumped ahead. I haven't even watched the Rumble yet or anything. So that's a match for I'd be like, I'm tuning in.
Put it this way, right now, as it stands, I'm looking forward to that match more so than like the championship match at Royal
100%.
Rumble.
100%.
Yeah.
Because that's that proper build.
Exactly.
That started in November.
And it makes sense. I mean, Razor and Bret, it's like you said, it's got nothing to do with Bret. If anything, Razor should be fighting Stu and Owen in a handicap match.
It should be Owen.
Yeah.
Like, it should, like, Razor and Owen. Was Owen hurt?
I don't know. He might have been.
So let's say he wasn't hurt, though.
Right.
Like,
Absolutely.
On this episode,
Yeah.
Razor Owen.
Absolutely.
6 months, like 6 days going in.
Absolutely.
Before the Rumble, like you have Razor come out and this fight Owen. It just destroys Owen.
Maybe he gets, if he's actually injured, like legit, injure him on this show.
Write him off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Injure him on this show.
Or like Owen comes out for like the match and Razor just pummels him on the entrance ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just I don't know. It's just so many missed opportunities to make it mean anything.
Right.
Like literally going into the Royal Rumble right now, there's no emotional investment for me to care about Bret and Razor Ramon.
I agree. We get another outside video where we see Repo Man repoing Bartlett's car that he's been talking about all night. And it's literally like a shitty SUV.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay.
Yeah.
That just goes to show.
Well, I think Bartlett even kind of mentions that it's not that great of a car.
Although I gotta say, this episode, Bartlett was cut back considerably. Like, he spoke noticeably less in this episode than the first.
So they probably like edited him.
Either
like,
that or Vince
him.
was like,
"Dude, chill.
yeah, cut back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing too much." Which I very much appreciated.
Yeah.
So I did notice that. Overall, I felt I was more invested watching this episode, just with the continuation of things. I would say 90% of it was brand new footage to me as well. Like I hadn't, the second episode of Raw, I haven't seen probably most of it. Mm-hmm. So that was nice. As far as, I gotta say that I gotta feel Bartlett's gotta be getting phased out here pretty soon. Especially after this episode.
Well, spoiler alert. I think he's there till like April.
Oh my God, Bob.
Yeah, I figure I'd break that to you now.
Bob.
I'm surprised though that you felt more emotionally invested or interested in this one. To me, the debut episode compared to this is just so much better.
Yeah.
Just the style of wrestling, the guys they focused on, Miz made it seem younger, and the quality of wrestling was significantly better to me.
Yeah.
I do like already though that it took them I guess 2 weeks, but like they're making you interested in something more.
Yes.
So
yes.
Like the next episode here, we already have, there's essentially 2 feuds.
Yeah.
Coming to a
right.
close. Repo Man and Savage and Perfect Flair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and Raw's an hour.
Right.
So that's 2 major angles. Like,
right.
I guess major angles.
Right.
Repo and Savage.
At the time, yeah.
So I mean that's pretty. I think that's a good direction to go in to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I should note though, like originally, I think Perfect was supposed to fight Shango.
Oh.
I should have mentioned that before with the Taylor thing. Because I remember at the end, it's like, oh, Mr. Perfect versus Papa Shango next week. And then I remember watching, I was like, that's not Papa Shango.
Yeah,
and they never mentioned anything about Shango.
Yeah, I must have missed it. Well, he's announced for the Rumble.
Right, yeah. And I know he
is
there.
That's all we get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to why they didn't have him on Raw. I don't even know if he ever does appear on Raw.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know if he does or not. I can't remember.
Sure. I don't know. I guess I just felt like some of the in-ring stuff was pretty solid. I mean,
the Jannetty squash is okay.
Right. And the Flair and Perfect altercations were good.
Yeah, that's a good build-up. Like the promo by Flair and everything.
Right.
But like the match, like Perfect Taylor I didn't care about.
I thought it was okay.
I thought
it was okay.
I think the style, maybe all the years have passed or whatever, it doesn't hold up.
Right.
I mean, it just seems like a lot of it is, I don't want to say stalling for time, but they're keeping it very, very basic.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think within a couple of months, with the influx of different talents, like we'll notice the drastic change in-ring performances on Raw. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to that. No, especially because I think the crowd will get rowdier and stuff.
Absolutely.
So I think that will be fun to see.
Absolutely. And you know what else? I was just watching both of these episodes to kind of recap. How spoiled were we with the talent? You know what I mean? I mean, Max Moon and those guys aside, really, you're getting like really, really good guys on TV. And of course, I'm talking about Glenn Ruth.
Right. I mean, you're talking about Damien Demento.
Damien Demento.
Like an all-star.
But no, I just, it's so funny to see, that compared to nowadays where you get Flash in the pan, no name.
Well, it's just like what I mentioned. Like, you look at 92 in comparison to 93. It's like you don't even realize what the fuck in 92. There's like that's like a dream team of a roster.
Yeah.
And it's
Absolutely.
gone. And it's gone within like 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And then 3 months from that, it's like no one's there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just such a drastic thing. But like, even the guys they're replacing with, sure, they're young.
Right.
But this is an example of like a minor league team going to the majors.
Right.
So obviously they're all in the WWF. It's all the major leagues. But like
Right.
Bret was a mid-card guy. Shawn was a mid-card guy. Taker wasn't. I mean, he had a main event run there for a bit with Hogan, but
nothing too
yeah,
notable.
like he was going in '92. His feud with Jake Roberts' feud was pretty good, but then after that it was like Kamala.
Right.
There's not. You're seeing the rise of it.
Yes.
And they needed it. They needed to hit the go downhill a little bit, and then that slow rise.
Right.
Because then and they're young.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done that a couple of times where they've done a reboot.
Right.
And maybe in the terms of ratings and popularity, it suffered for him. But I think in ring wise,
Yeah.
it's a much better
Kind of a rebirth. Like it's getting to that point where you're going to see stuff that you would have never seen before in the WWF. Like they're taking on essentially a whole different identity.
Right. Well, I mean, so I don't want to do too much of a tangent here. We're going on almost 2.5 hours, but
this is quality, damn it.
So the guys that leave, like Sid and Jake and Bulldog, they all end up in WCW.
Right.
Right. And WCW 93, I mean, I've watched, I think 9 months worth of it so far, is not overwhelmingly good.
Right.
But WCW 92 is pretty good.
Right.
But if you notice the guys that are coming in, like the Steiners, they were there in WCW 92. They were a major fixture in WCW 92.
Right.
It seems like there's always been that trend of people who come from WCW to WWF enhance the product.
Absolutely.
While the guys who come from WWF to WCW, more times than not, coast.
Well, they're there for the check.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's always been an interesting thing for me to notice. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of bummed out about Bulldog not being there, but
yeah. Well, all in all things considered, with the 2 episodes down, I am looking forward to the Rumble. As much of a mixed bag as the card seems it's going to be.
Do you want to run down the card here for Rumble?
If you have.
Off the top of my head, I think I know the matches.
Right.
So, I know the Steiner Brothers will be there against the Beverleys.
Okay.
And then I can't go possibly a match order. I don't know.
Right.
But I know Shawn and Jannetty for the IC. Then, obviously, the world title with Razor and Bret.
Yep.
So that's your 3 major ones. And then you have Bigelow. Bam Bam Bigelow, who we haven't mentioned yet. But
Nothing.
I mean, I mentioned him in the debuts, I think, didn't I? No, I did not.
No.
Well, Bam Bam Bigelow's there, too. And he'll be at the Rumble. And I think he fights Boss Man.
Oh.
So that's what, 4?
Yeah.
And then there's the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I don't think there's no tag title defense. Money Incorporated's not on it.
Right.
So I mean, just by that alone, though, it doesn't seem like a crazy strong card to me.
Right, but I mean, there could be
for a Royal Rumble.
A Royal Rumble. But again, I'm holding out hope that some of them will surprise me.
And you got to think the Rumble takes a lot of talent out of it anyway.
Right.
So it's an hour.
Right. So I have hopes. I think for the 2 first episodes of Raw, they did what they needed to do.
I think it sets the tone.
Yeah.
And I think that the Raw after the Rumble has excitement with it.
Yes.
And I think that's successful.
Yep, I agree.
Especially with Flair and Imperfect being the main event or the main draw for after Rumble.
Like the loser leaves WWF.
Yeah, I think that's a great stipulation. I mean, it adds even more because if it's just a singles match, you're gonna be like, well, whatever.
Yeah,
there'll be a dusty finish or something. But now it's like, well, somebody's got to lose.
Yeah,
so I gotta see it.
Right.
So,
well, it was a marathon, Bob.
Yeah, I mean that for us it flew by. Yeah. For me it did.
Yeah.
I mean I didn't even know it was 2 hours until I looked and said 2 hours.
Yeah.
Hopefully people listening to it were like,
we'll see.
Fast. Yeah.
We'll see.
So I guess our next episode will be just the Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
I would assume. I guess we'll decide later if we want to keep on doing 2 episodes. I don't mind doing 2 episodes at a time.
We could.
But people who are listening maybe be like,
Right.
chill.
Yeah. Cut it an hour and a half, maybe.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes.
But I enjoy doing this, even though it took me an hour and 20 minutes roughly to figure it out properly. But
Too long.
yeah.
Too long.
But we'll get better with it. I don't even know if I'll edit this.
Yeah.
I might just put it out there. I mean, who cares about dead spots?
Right.
There wasn't that many anyway. We were talking the entire
Yeah, it's
time.
pretty coherent.
Yeah, I don't want to nitpick it anyway. So.
Right.
Plus, I like the naturalness.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Hopefully you guys do too, listening out there.
yeah. And, be sure to share it around. We'll be sharing it around probably a lot anyway.
Of course.
Um,
Let's do some plugs.
I was just going to say, I know you got stuff to plug.
Let's do some plugs.
Go ahead, plug it up.
All right, so I am mostly right now writing for my Japanese website. I'm a big follower of Japanese wrestling. If that's something you're into, you can see we have a website at Pro Wrestling Ichiban. So it's puroichiban.com. And there we do like all reviews and that kind of stuff. We're on Facebook, Pro Wrestling Ichiban, Japanese Pro Wrestling Ichiban. I also write for Bob's site, Wrestling Recaps. Tell the people about Wrestling Recaps, Bob.
All right. Well, Wrestling Recaps is pretty self-explanatory. It's a website full of nothing but wrestling show recaps and magazines and stuff like that. You'll go there and you'll click on the various pages and be like, wow, these are a lot of wrestling reviews. There's been many years where I've had no life, where I just watched a lot of wrestling.
Right.
I've been doing present day stuff this year for 2018. In
Which
fact,
is different for you.
It is, because I'm usually trying to talk to you about Smoky Mountain Wrestling from '94.
And I'm trying to block you out.
And you're just like, I don't want to talk about Brian Lee.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Him and Tammy Lynn, man, they're having a huge feud. And be like, I don't fucking care.
No.
So it's a change of pace. I mean, I miss SmackDown, but I'll download it. I should not say download. I will DVR it.
Absolutely.
Even though it is a download.
You
but
will watch it very legally.
Definitely legally. And then I'll review that. But yeah, WrestlingRecaps.com has obviously WWF, WCW, Ring of Honor, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla.
Mm-hmm.
There's some New Japan stuff on there. But yeah, it's a wide range of stuff. One of the more popular ones is Inside the Magazine series I've been doing, where I'll literally type out what it says in magazines and stuff. Sometimes some pictures too. So, but yeah, that's been going on for about almost 10 years now. Who knows? Maybe I'll retire and just do podcasting.
Yeah. Go out on top.
Yeah.
You know.
Who knows? We'll see. But I don't know, Austin. I enjoyed this first one, and I look forward to having you over and talk about Royal Rumble. This was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I guess.
You
It
know,
was all right.
I could do without seeing your face, I guess. You know,
I think 2 hours are enough. 2 hours are enough.
You can take your shoes off. Why are you putting them on so fast? Like,
You sure? Wait, should I not zip up my coat?
You're a dick.
It was. I enjoyed it, Bob. And it's given me a chance to kind of see what's old is new for me. Because, again, I haven't seen a lot of this. So I look forward to going through it.
I mean, I've seen, like I said, I saw this stuff when I was reviewing it like 8 years ago.
Right.
But it's been 8 years. I've seen it a lot since. So it's like I forget. You're much more in depth with your notes, which I think I prefer because I'm I miss stuff and then I apparently just don't pay attention to great detail. The Rumble, though, I'll pay attention to. And moving forward, I think, too. Because I'm more angled.
Well, if not, that's what makes us a good tandem.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, plus, I mean, it's new to you, so you might need to write it down. And I've maybe seen it 4 or 5 times, so it's like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm Bob Colling Jr.
And I'm Austin Skinner.
And thank you for joining us for IcoPod. We'll be back soon for the Royal Rumble.
You gotta hear it.